Beauty Snake 1. This chapter begins Mo Chingching's side story, explaining her transformation and ending. Have you ever heard of a beauty snake? I think Mo Chingching is a beauty snake. I always thought she was different when we were in school. She was scheming and very good at deceiving people. So many boys chased after her back then, but she didn't like any of them and just toyed with them. Of course, she's beautiful enough. At a high school reunion, two girls were touching up their makeup in the bathroom, whispering about Mo Chingching. After a few more hushed words, they left together. Not long after, Mo Chingching walked out of the bathroom, a slender cigarette between her fingers, a calculating smile on her face. The next day, both of those classmates were fired from their companies. At that time, the Mo family hadn't started to collapse yet, and Mo Chingching was still the glamorous President Mo. She only needed to make a call. No exchange of benefits was necessary. Someone would be willing to do these things for her, just to curry favor. Mo Chingching never denied it, nor did she care about being talked about like that. As for retaliating against them, it was only because they had just been begging her for a chance. She hated that kind of behavior, just like her father, wanting to use her while being hypocritical. Once, when she went to her grandmother's house with her parents, Mo Xian wasn't home. She didn't know where he had gone. Mo Xian was 14 years old then. Her grandmother looked at her eldest granddaughter and suddenly smiled. Your parents have been quite successful. After all, you've surpassed them. Her grandmother saw right through her. Mo Chingching felt uncomfortable, but she didn't care. Mo Chingching never initially thought about what she wanted to do. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, she would resent why she saw things so clearly. Would it be better if she were as foolish as her younger sister, or as indifferent as Mo Xian? But Mo Chingching knew that if she could choose again, she would probably still do the same. Who told her she was Mo Chingching? Mo Chingching had told countless lies in her life, but there was one thing she had never lied to anyone about. If her parents were willing to give the family business to Mo Xian, she would genuinely be willing to assist him. It wasn't that she had deep feelings for Mo Xian, but even if they were going to favor sons over daughters, they should choose Mo Xian instead of Mo Jinping. But she knew this was impossible. Her grandfather was inexplicably wary and rejected Mo Xian. Her parents were never close to Mo Xian, so naturally they wouldn't trust him. In fact, Mo Chingching was probably the first in the Mo family to notice something was wrong. Mo Jinping resembled her father in some ways, but he was nothing like her mother. Bloodlines were a funny thing. The sensitive Mo Chingching had never liked Mo Jinping as much as she liked Mo Xian. Even when she was little and saw the spoiled Mo Jinping throwing tantrums, Mo Chingching couldn't help but want to throw him out and never see him again. But Mo Chingching didn't do that. She knew her parents favored Mo Jinping, so she naturally pretended to dote on him as well. But at that time, Mo Chingching hadn't thought of ruining him with praise. Gradually, she realized Mo Jinping was being spoiled beyond repair, and that was when Mo Chingching first had that thought. Mo Chingching had only wanted to deal with Mo Jinping. As for after Mo Xian came home, she indulged Mo Jinping, first to continue ruining him, and second, to suppress Mo Xian. I don't really have any feelings for him. If I had to say, he might stab Mo Jinping to death, but he might never interact with me again, Mo Chingching said to her assistant after drinking some wine. She said it calmly. Or maybe he and I would be at each other's throats, and neither of us would hold back. After all, I was also a perpetrator to him, and to me, he became an obstacle. The assistant stared blankly at Mo Chingching. From the time she graduated from university, worked at Mo Corporation, and was selected by Mo Chingching, she had followed her all these years. Even when Mo Chingching schemed against the Mo family and started her own business, she followed her. Surprised, Mo Chingching looked at her with a hint of drunkenness. But I can't beat him anymore. He has the Luo family backing him. And besides, Mo Chingching didn't say her guess. Afterwards, she went to Kyoto University to inquire about Mo Xian. Unlike others who were shocked to learn that Mo Xian was involved with two sisters from the Luo family, Mo Chingching was very calm. Although she wouldn't be too confident in her younger brother, since it had already happened, no matter how outrageous it was still a fact. President, why don't you? The assistant hesitated for a long time, not knowing whether she should say what was on her mind. But Mo Chingching seemed to see what she meant and smiled. You want me to beg Mo Xian, right? The assistant nodded. In her opinion, Mo Chingching was now being pushed to the brink by Madame Yi, and had no choice but to rely on the Yi family and obey their arrangements. Her position had also been replaced by the woman Madame Yi sent. Besides the matters of Mo Qingqing's new company, she couldn't interfere with anything else. She had never seen Mo Qingqing so helpless, but facing the Yi family, this seemed inevitable. If she begged Mo Xian and the Luo family, the wealthiest in Kyoto, directly intervened, she didn't believe the Yi family wouldn't obediently comply. However, Mo Qingqing smiled and waved her hand. I won't beg him. Besides, it will be good enough if he didn't kick me when I'm down. Mo Qingqing knew very well that the most she and Mo Xian had was that one collaboration. She had been involved in Su Yinran's matter, and she was aware of Mo Jinping's several antics, but she deliberately sided with him. She and Mo Xian had almost laid all their cards on the table. After he learned that his elder sister not only knew about Mo Jinping's despicable behavior, but also deliberately indulged him for her own purposes, their already broken relationship would only become more irreparable. The current situation is my own choice. I wanted to borrow the power of the Yi family, and the Yi family wants me to be their tool. How could they easily let me go? Mo Qingqing picked up her wine glass and took another sip. I can't count on anyone, so whether this dead game can be brought to life depends entirely on myself. Mo Qingqing had actually thought about this outcome, but she didn't expect the Yi family to turn their backs so quickly. She was caught off guard, but Mo Qingqing quickly calmed down. Having been hiding in her own family for so long, Mo Qingqing knew that some things couldn't be rushed. She gradually infiltrated and finally made her move when the Mo family was at its most chaotic. The Yi family would be even more difficult to deal with than the Mo family. But there was one prerequisite. Madam, Yi was still alive. President, don't drink anymore. The assistant stopped Mo Qingqing from raising her glass again. Doesn't the Yi family want you to get pregnant and have a child with Yining? Perhaps after you get pregnant, you can rely on your son. Mo Qingqing coldly pushed her away. Rely on my son? Madam Yi does want to have a child with Yining, but that's all. It's good to have a legitimately married wife giving birth to a legitimate child, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't happen. Yining was no different from the average playboy, with a lot of affairs. The Yi family had been suppressing them all along. However, Yining was obviously no match for Mo Qingqing. After a few glasses of wine, he spilled the truth after some sweet talk. He had 3 sons outside, all from his one-night stands. The Yi family didn't recognize the children's mothers, but they couldn't deny the children. After all, they were the Yi family's bloodline. However, Madame Yi was very cautious and arranged for special care after performing paternity tests. Yining, who always needed his family to clean up after him and was only a half-baked dabbler in managing the company, was much easier to deal with than the extremely cunning Madame Yi. Finishing the wine in her glass, Mo Qingqing played with a confident smile on her face. Don't worry, there will always be a way. After all, people get old. Who knows if they'll wake up and see the sun the next day? Beauty snake, too. If only ability were considered, Mo Qingqing, even if not as gifted as Luo Xia, would definitely have a place among female entrepreneurs in Kyoto. Unfortunately, the Mo family platform was limited in the past, and Mo Changshan was always unwilling to fully delegate authority to her. Now, even managing the company she founded herself, Mo Qingqing still has time to handle some of the Yi family's business, which the old Madame Yi is very satisfied with. She knows how dangerous this beauty snake Mo Qingqing is, but the more dangerous she is, the more it proves her ability. Actually, I never understood why you were so insistent on Mo Qingqing. The female assistant assigned to Mo Qingqing couldn't help but ask curiously while reporting her work. Old Madame Yi took a sip of tea and smiled indifferently, saying, she's very similar to me in temperament. Even the drive I had when I was young, she has it too. Everyone knows that if pufferfish isn't handled properly, eating it can cause poisoning, but does that stop people from eating it? The key is whether the chef preparing the pufferfish knows how to handle it. You're right, but don't forget, she stepped on her entire family to get to where she is today. Hearing the female assistant's words, old Madame Yi didn't care. In this circle, it's not uncommon for families to scheme against each other for profit. To put it bluntly, when personal interests are at stake, what is kinship or love? Sons scheme against their fathers, husbands and wives scheme against each other. What are they ultimately after? Isn't it all for money? Putting aside everything else, she's been attentive recently. If Yining could compare to Cheng Wenxin, let alone Luo Tian, I wouldn't have looked for Mo Qingqing. Old Madame Yi felt her temples throbbing when she thought of her grandson. Luo Tian aside, the Luo family's large business, Kyoto's largest conglomerate, is stable in his hands. In the past, he had Luo Xia and Luo Muki helping him. Now, even without them, Luo Tian still manages the Luo group very well. Everything that needs to be done and every business that needs to be expanded hasn't been neglected. Even that eccentric Cheng Wenxin manages her own company very well. Looking back at Yining, old madam, Yi felt like her blood pressure was about to explode. Yining's father and I were a good match in terms of social status. He was capable, but his temperament was too soft. My son didn't learn anything else, but he took on all the mediocre flaws of his father. In the past, I helped my husband manage the family business, and later I helped my son. I didn't expect Yining to be taught into what he is now by them as a couple. I said from the beginning to give me the child, and I would teach him personally, but Yining's mother was a kind mother and couldn't bear it. At that time, I was also sick, and it was too late to teach Yining later. Speaking of this, old Madam Yi couldn't help but turn red-eyed. At her age, when she should be enjoying her retirement, she still has to worry and scheme for her grandson. She is probably the most concerned about Yining's marriage, even shamelessly going to the Luo family to ask old Madame Luo to sell her old face. As smart as she is, how could she not know that this matter would not have any results? The Yi family is also famous and wealthy in Kyoto, but no family with a matching status is willing to marry their daughter into the family. Even commercial marriages are unwanted, and those willing might only offer illegitimate daughters. It's conceivable how unreliable this young master of the Yi family is. He caused a lot of ridiculous things since college, and most of the time his father, and even this old woman, had to clean up the mess for Yining after he took over the company. Among so many wealthy families in Kyoto, Yining is probably the only one who is such a waste, except for Mo Jinping. Those proper heirs of wealthy families either start their own businesses, achieve success, and prove themselves before inheriting the family business, or carefully learn from their parents and manage their own business with peace of mind. Who doesn't play? How many are truly clean and self-disciplined and haven't been outrageous? Loving to play and being outrageous are never the key. Incompetence is the most crucial. The Yi family looks glamorous now, but without her, without Yining's father, who knows if this second-generation ancestor will ruin the family business in the future? Without a future, no matter how much benefit there is in front of you, who knows if Yining will do something big to disgust you in the future? They are all businessmen, and risk assessment is the most basic. Old Madam Yi knows very well that the Luo family will never marry their two princesses to her grandson, who is so stupid that he can embarrass himself even in the Luo family's old mansion. But she really has no choice. She is getting older and older, and if Yining really gets into trouble in the future, there are only two solutions. Either marry a top wealthy family, like the Luo family with strong financial resources, or find a capable woman who could be controlled, just like her, to continue supporting the Yi family. She used to have some friendship with old Madame Luo, and when she visited, she almost took out half of the Yi family as a dowry. But Luo Xia and Luo Muki didn't care at all. Old Madame Luo also said euphemistically, "The children are grown up. It's up to them what they want to do. I can't make the decision." Of course, she thought it was politeness, but in fact, the Luo family really couldn't make this decision. In the end, she chose Mo Qingqing. She knew how ambitious this beauty snake was, so she took ruthless measures and forced Mo Qingqing to almost have no way out. She's a smart person. It's still easy for the Yi family to control her. Old Madam Yi took up her teacup again and took a sip. "I'm not afraid of her going to her brother. Is his name Mo Xian?" Hearing this, the female assistant nodded and said, "When the Luo family issued a statement this time, Luo Xia and Luo Muki left the country to expand overseas business, and that Mo Xian seemed to have gone with them. I've checked that child, a top student at Kyoto University, who was able to enter the research group at a young age and is highly valued by his mentor." Speaking of this, old Madam Yi showed a hint of disdain and contempt on her face. Mo Qingqing did too much back then, scheming against her parents and Mo Jinping, and Mo Xian was also schemed against by her. That child is not one to be bullied. Before breaking off relations with the Mo family, he dared to directly hit Mo Jinping in front of his family's master and his parents. He started to retaliate against the Mo family as soon as his grandmother died, and he didn't even feel soft-hearted when something happened to his parents. How could this kind of person help Mo Qingqing? How could she, as such a smart person, not know that she can't count on her brother? Even if the Mo family doesn't fall, I'm not afraid, especially since the Mo Corporation has been acquired by the Yi family. As long as this girl understands and listens to my arrangements obediently, and after she has children, won't the Yi family still be under her control when the children grow up? The female assistant also roughly understood that old Madam Yi was planning to let Mo Qingqing follow her old path. She admitted that her old madam was capable and very scheming, but Mo Ching was too abnormal. She didn't struggle at all and agreed to almost all of the Yi family's overbearing demands. Are you afraid that she will do something desperate? Old madam Yi seemed to see through her thoughts. Don't worry, she wouldn't dare. She's ruthless, but there are some things she won't do. After all, she still has a chance now. But if she really makes it a lose-lose situation, she will have no chance at all. After speaking, old Madame Yi couldn't help but yawn, rubbing her eyes. I won't say any more. Help me up to rest. I don't know what's wrong recently. I always feel tired. The female assistant quickly went over to support her, glanced at the tea in her cup, and asked, This tea doesn't seem to be the kind you usually drink, does it? Yining gave it to me. Didn't she go out of town before? Old Madame Yi smiled. Mo Ching is quite skillful. Although Yining is still not attentive in the company's affairs, he has restrained himself quite a bit. At the same time, Mo Ching was sitting in her office with a medical examination report in front of her, looking at the name of old Madame Yi on it. Mo Ching couldn't help but curl her lips and smile. Then she picked up her mobile phone and sent a message to Yining. Is your grandmother satisfied with the tea? After a while, Yining replied to her, Satisfied, satisfied. You are still so thoughtful. You have filial piety. You decided on everything. I just helped you with the reference. Mo Ching casually put her phone aside, picked up the report, lit it with a lighter, and then threw it into the trash can. This is your grandson's filial piety. It has nothing to do with me. Mo Ching smiled. As for the rest, that was also done by your grandson. If you become a ghost, remember to look for him. President, it's the Yi family again. Mo Ching's assistant helplessly brought over some files. The other female assistant hadn't been around much lately, and she was back to her usual busy workload. It's fine, just put them there, Mo Ching said, unconcerned. Oh, and remember to order some tonics for me later, like ginseng and bird's nest. Have them sent to the Yi family. The assistant was puzzled, but Mo Ching smiled and said, Old Madam Yi isn't feeling well and hasn't been in good spirits lately, so I'm getting her something to help. No wonder that annoying woman hadn't been coming around, the assistant thought, secretly pleased. After all, that woman was quite irritating. But, President, our company's business hasn't really expanded yet, and you're spending all your time. Mo Ching had originally intended to focus on the beauty industry after establishing her new company, but so far, due to the Yi family's machinations and Mo Ching essentially working for them for free, her own company's business had stagnated. However, Mo Ching seemed to be in high spirits, and she handled the Yi family's affairs very well. Yining had become completely hands-off, throwing anything he couldn't handle at Mo Ching. We'll be engaged soon, and I'll have to manage all of this sooner or later, Mo Ching said with a smile. As for our company, Yining's father has already secured a lot of resources for me. Although the company isn't really mine right now and has been merged into the Yi family's holdings, it will be able to develop in the future, and all my efforts won't be in vain. The assistant couldn't understand it. Mo Ching was practically penniless at this point, yet she didn't seem worried at all. If I'm not in a hurry, why are you? Mo Ching waved her off. Go on. I'll look over these files and talk to Yining about them. Seeing this, the assistant didn't say anything more and turned to leave the office. Mo Ching casually picked up a file and carefully examined it. The Yi family's business actually overlapped with the Mo family's in some areas. They also had a clothing business. That's why they were willing to acquire the Mo family and use their connections and status to force Mo Ching to submit. It seemed like they had paid Mo Ching, but in fact, the Yi family had essentially taken the Mo family for free and were holding Mo Ching by the throat. The Mo family didn't have much to compete with the Yi family, and the scandal back then had been quite the uproar. However, the clothing factories and warehouses under their name were quite important to the Yi family. The Yi family was large and often needed to outsource large orders, so having a few more of their own factories and warehouses was very necessary, especially since the Mo family's technology was very mature. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to survive for so many years. Therefore, handling these businesses was a breeze for Mo Ching. The last file was a transfer agreement. Mo Ching couldn't help but chuckle when she saw it. Old Madam Yi had schemed so much, but she hadn't counted on her own grandson. The Yi family could control Mo Ching, but conversely, it was very easy for Mo Ching to control Yining. Old Madam Yi had gone to great lengths to trap everything Mo Ching had, but Mo Ching had coaxed Yining into giving her 5% of shares under his name with just a few words. It wasn't much, but it was a good start for her. Slowly closing the file in her hand, Mo Qingqing stood up and left the company with the transfer agreement, driving directly to a villa where Yi Ning was currently living. As soon as she entered, the Annie taking care of Yi Ning looked at her awkwardly, saying with a guilty conscience, young master isn't back yet. Miss Mo, would you like to go back first? Mo Qingqing glanced at the second floor, chuckled, and said, tell him to clean himself up in 3 minutes. I'll be waiting for him in the study. With that, Mo Qingqing ignored the auntie's ugly expression and walked straight into the study. After waiting for a while, she heard a young woman's voice outside, seemingly complaining. You're nothing special, yet you're henpecked. What kind of excitement are you looking for? What the hell are you talking about? Yi Ning roared. Mo Qingqing couldn't help but smile. The woman wasn't wrong. Wasn't Yi Ning all talk and no action? There was some commotion outside, and then it finally quieted down. A moment later, the study door was violently pushed open by Yi Ning, wearing a black bathrobe, slippers, his hair disheveled, and red marks on his neck. Seeing Mo Qingqing, Yi Ning smiled awkwardly and said, you're here. A friend of mine got drunk and stayed over. All right, stayed over in your bed. I know, Mo Qingqing said nonchalantly. I haven't been here for a few days. It's understandable that you'd be tempted. Yi Ning scratched his head. Mo Qingqing didn't say anything more, but shook the share transfer agreement in her hand. Aren't you afraid your grandmother will find out? She's been guarding against me all along. This is what you deserve, Yi Ning said carelessly. Besides, she's controlled me for so long, not letting me do this or that. You're the one she introduced to me. What's wrong with giving you some shares? I don't want them. Take them back. Mo Qingqing put the authorization on the table. I just want my original things back. As for the shares, let's talk about it after we get married, okay? It's okay, you can keep them. I'll talk to my dad about those things after we get married, and I'll give them back to you sooner or later. Yi Ning didn't care about Mo Qingqing's company and personal assets at all. The Yi family had more than enough of those. He really didn't understand what his grandmother was trying to do. She had finally found someone he liked and that she approved of. Why was she being so stingy over such a small thing? The Yi family wasn't as good as the Luo family or the Xiao or Chung families, but Yi Ning really didn't care about those things. I think I've been very generous. Since we've been together, there have been several times this has happened, right? I've never minded once. What daughter-in-law or granddaughter-in-law can do what I do? Don't worry, after the engagement, what's yours is still yours, and you can keep the shares. Yi Ning quickly came over to coax her. I just had a few too many drinks yesterday. How can those kinds of women compare to you? Mo Qingqing sneered inwardly, but she didn't show it on her face. All right, hurry up and wash up and change. Isn't Grandma sick? I've already sent someone to deliver tonics. Just say you asked me to buy them when the time comes. Hearing this, a trace of impatience flashed in Yi Ning's eyes. Mo Qingqing accurately caught it and comforted him gently. After all, your grandmother has sacrificed so much for the Yi family over the years. No matter how dissatisfied you are, you can't not go at this time. Okay, I'll listen to you. Yi Ning breathed a sigh of relief. Then wait for me. I'll go now. Watching Yi Ning leave, the corners of Mo Qingqing's mouth slightly turned up. From the moment she met Yi Ning, she knew that Yi Ning was afraid of his grandmother. But the more someone fears someone, the more they actually reject and hate them in their heart. And Mo Qingqing didn't do anything. She just intentionally or unintentionally amplified the hatred and rejection in Yi Ning's heart. While Mo Qingqing listened to old Madame Yi and diligently helped Yi Ning manage his business, she also tolerated Yi Ning's continued fooling around behind her back. Once these things reached the Yi family, old Madame Yi would definitely be furious. But now, with Mo Qingqing covering for him, the Yi family really thought that Yi Ning had settled down a lot. She had even given the Annie taking care of Yi Ning a lot of money to keep her mouth shut. The reason Yi Ning listened to her so much was because Mo Qingqing did everything so well, especially when he couldn't control himself and went out to cheat occasionally. She turned a blind eye. To kill with praise, it was the most effective method to deal with people like him and Mo Jinping. This wasn't difficult for Mo Qingqing. As for old Madame Ye's illness, Mo Qingqing's smile deepened when she thought of this. Yi Ning was now completely hands-off. He was supposed to get old Madame Ye's medical report, but he handed it over to Mo Qingqing to handle. She didn't poison her, but people can't eat or drink things randomly. Old Madam, no matter how powerful you are, you can't stop your grandson from desperately holding you back. Mo Qingqing slowly took out a cigarette and lit it, glancing at the photo of Yi Ning, his parents, and old Madame Yi on the desk. If you invite a snake into your house, you have to be prepared to be bitten. The beautiful serpent, 4. Grandma Ye's recent condition was indeed concerning. She was easily fatigued, and her insomnia, already a problem, had worsened considerably. This directly impacted her mental state. She slept more during the day, but frequently woke up at night. Mo Qingqing and Yi Ning found Ye's parents when they returned to the Yi family home. Grandma Yi was in bed, having just been examined by her personal physician. She's getting older. The old lady had a serious illness in the past, which left her weakened, the doctor sighed. She's probably been overworking herself recently, and the old ailment has resurfaced. After a moment's thought, the doctor frowned. But I feel like this bout of weakness is a bit too severe. Mo Qingqing showed no emotion, but inwardly, she couldn't help but smile. The Yi family's personal physicians were all Western trained, with only a superficial understanding of traditional Chinese medicine. Grandma Ye's past illness had indeed left her weak, but the wealthy Yi family had been diligently managing it. However, Grandma Yi enjoyed drinking tea, unaware that some teas, while harmless to others, could be detrimental to her. I specifically researched this point before writing it, but I don't want to go into detail. There's also an element of exaggeration for the sake of the plot. She had thoroughly reviewed Grandma Ye's medical reports and conducted a detailed investigation, even consulting doctors online. It just so happened that Yi Ning had considered buying tea for his grandmother while traveling. Mo Qingqing had indeed offered suggestions, but ultimately, she wasn't the one who made the purchase. As the CEO of a cosmetics company, how could she possibly know about such things? Besides, no matter how well Grandma Yi was cared for, she could never fully recover, given her age. Mo Qingqing hadn't poisoned her. She simply found a way to use Yi Ning to trigger the underlying problems that were already present in Grandma Ye's body. Given her current age and constitution, even if she survived this ordeal, she would undoubtedly be greatly weakened. Yi Ning's father was too mediocre, and his mother was just a pampered heiress with no real ability. As for Yi Ning, she had successfully manipulated him. Compared to her own brother, Yi Ning was even more arrogant, and his fear of his grandmother was slowly turning into resentment. Sometimes, all it takes is a small crack for a person's malice to pour out. Grandma Ye's condition was undeniably concerning. She had dedicated her youth to the Yi family's affairs, and in middle age, she worried about her son. In her old age, she worried about her grandson. After finally recovering from a major illness, this latest setback was simply too much for her to bear. When Yi Ning and Mo Qingqing entered, Grandma Yi was asleep, her face pale. Ye's mother shook her head at them, then whispered, "She just took her medicine and fell asleep. Don't wake her." Mo Qingqing nodded without a word. Yi Ning only glanced at her perfunctorily. The two of them then left. In the living room, Ye's father sighed upon seeing them. "Your grandmother's condition is really not good. I'm planning to take her to the hospital as soon as she wakes up. Qingqing, I've been watching, and you've been doing a great job at the company lately." "Uncle Yi, it's all part of my job," Mo Qingqing said with a smile. "It's just that with Grandma like this, many decisions require her approval. It's all right. Since your grandmother is in this state, the three of us can decide things together," Ye's father said with a wry smile. "She's worked hard her whole life. This illness is a good opportunity for her to rest." Mo Qingqing remained silent. Yi Ning had already gathered a lot of information about the Yi family situation. The overly assertive grandma, Yi, still interfered with company affairs, even at her age. While Ye's father wasn't as resentful as Yi Ning, he still harbored some grievances. Grandma Yi was too intelligent and was dissatisfied with her mediocre son, unremarkable daughter-in-law, and her good-for-nothing grandson. She often criticized them without mercy. Even when Mo Qingqing had first arrived at the Yi family, she had witnessed Grandma Yi berating her son. Grandma Yi was right. Mo Qingqing was indeed very similar to her, but their upbringings were vastly different. Grandma Yi had a smooth and successful life, being the only daughter in her family. She was a prominent figure in the Yi family, making decisions on all matters, big and small. Mo Qingqing, on the other hand, had learned to endure and disguise herself from a young age, having to deal with parents who harbored ulterior motives and their senseless favoritism. Moreover, Mo Qingqing had underestimated Mo Xian and hadn't thoroughly investigated his relationship with Luo Miyuki at Kyoto University. Since then, Mo Qingqing had become even more cautious. They were similar, but Grandma Yi was sometimes too arrogant. "Qingqing, I've been thinking, given your grandmother's current condition, why don't we move the engagement banquet forward?" Ye's mother said, smiling as she took Mo Qingqing's hand. She was very pleased with Mo Qingqing, believing that Yi Ning had become much more well-behaved and focused on his work since being with her. Of course, she was unaware that this was just a facade, and Yi Ning might even be more unrestrained than before, because he had Mo Qingqing to cover for him. This, Mo Qingqing said, looking hesitant. Would it be appropriate to have an engagement banquet with Grandma, in her current condition? It's nothing. Let's just consider it a way to bring good luck, Ye's father said, seeming to agree. She also hopes that you and Yi Ning can get married soon. She was the one who chose you in the first place. I think your grandmother wouldn't object if she knew. Mo Qingqing glanced at Yi Ning, who seemed indifferent. After all, to him, whether they got married or not made no difference. All right, then I'll listen to Uncle and Auntie. Mo Qingqing nodded. Whenever you decide to hold the engagement banquet, I'll make sure to clear my schedule at the company. You child, work is never ending, Ye's father said, smiling as he glared at his son. Learn from Qingqing. If you were even half as good as her, I'd be much less worried. Yi Ning didn't seem to care, and his expression didn't change. He didn't care about any of this. A beautiful fiancée who didn't bother him and even solved his problems for him. After they got married, he wouldn't have to do anything and could just be a carefree playboy. What could be better than that? As for the engagement banquet, we can just find a good date soon, Ye's mother said with a smile. Your relationship with Yi Ning is already well known. After the engagement banquet, you and Yi Ning can get your marriage certificate. Mo Qingqing didn't say anything, only nodded. Only by truly marrying into the Yi family could she better handle things in the future. Yi Ning also left with her, but unlike Mo Qingqing, who was returning to the company, he made an excuse to say he had something to take care of. All right, go ahead. I still have some documents from your side that I haven't processed yet. Mo Qingqing knew exactly where he was going, but she simply didn't bother to expose him. If Yi Ning really died now, Mo Qingqing would only think, why couldn't he have waited until after they got the marriage certificate before dying? Then I could have rightfully found a way to get a share from the Yi family. Watching Yi Ning drive away, Mo Qingqing thought for a moment, then took out her phone and made a call. After a while, the other party answered. Mo Qingqing simply said, tell your people that Yi Ning should be at his usual bar at this time. Keep an eye on him and send the photos to my email. Mo Qingqing never believed that she could achieve her goals with absolute certainty. The Yi family wasn't the Mo family. She could use blood ties to deceive her own family, but that might not work on the Yi family. So, she had to ensure that she had more cards in her hand, and Yi Ning was her best target. Yi Ning probably didn't know that Mo Qingqing was well aware of his every escapade, and even some of the women he had been with were approached in her direction so she could take videos. Mo Qingqing had had a few physical relationships with Yi Ning, but later, she deliberately avoided him. Yi Ning had always been indiscriminate with women who offered themselves, so after Mo Qingqing had tested her body and found that she hadn't contracted any diseases, she made excuses to avoid any contact with Yi Ning. Anyway, he had his own ways, and Mo Qingqing didn't care. He naturally preferred to frequent nightclubs. As soon as she returned to the company, Mo Qingqing saw the notification in her email. She smiled slightly and put her phone away. Grandma Yi could no longer manage things, and she was sure that she was one step closer to her goal. 5. Although Mo Qingqing didn't get her company back, old Mrs. Yi returned all the personal assets that she had been made to hand over to the Yi family for safekeeping. The 5% of shares also naturally ended up in Mo Qingqing's hands. Ye's father only knew that Yi Ning had returned what originally belonged to Mo Qingqing, but he didn't know that Yi Ning had also given her shares. Nevertheless, some things were unavoidable. Old Mrs. Yi personally sent someone to invite her to the hospital. The Yi family sent old Mrs. Yi to the hospital to be slowly cared for and recuperated, which was about what Mo Qingqing expected. Although she didn't die, she was indeed quite tormented. These past few days had been rough on old Mrs. Yi. Her usually neatly combed hair was somewhat disheveled, her lips were pale, and she looked thinner. Seeing Mo Qingqing arrive, old Mrs. Yi smiled and said, Qingqing, you've been working hard lately. I heard from your uncle that you've been managing things well. The Yi family may have to rely on you in the future. While looking at old Mrs. Yi, Mo Qingqing said politely, you flatter me. Yi Ning and I are getting engaged soon, so this is what I should do as a daughter-in-law. Mo Qingqing couldn't see anything unusual about old Mrs. Yi. She wasn't sure if the old witch had guessed anything about the tea incident, or if she was still under surveillance. Many of the things Mo Qingqing was doing now were actually done personally. She didn't completely trust her assistant, who had been with her for a long time, and those who followed Yi Ning were hired with a lot of money. Sometimes Mo Qingqing suddenly felt tired, wondering what she was even doing all this for. But having come this far, she was unwilling to turn back. Old Mrs. He only gave her a few words of advice, then took out a pair of jade bracelets and handed them to Mo Qingqing. I'm afraid my body won't be able to attend the engagement banquet, so consider this my gift to you. Mo Qingqing declined for a moment, but old Mrs. He insisted on giving them to her, so Mo Qingqing had no choice but to accept. Walking out of the hospital, Mo Qingqing didn't expect to run into someone she hadn't seen in a long time. Her own younger sister, Mo Tingting. At first glance, she didn't even recognize her. Mo Tingting used to care a lot about her appearance, but now she was wearing somewhat outdated clothes, her hair was casually tied behind her, and there were dark circles under her eyes. Seeing Mo Qingqing, there wasn't a trace of emotion in Mo Tingting's eyes, only emptiness and numbness. Long time no see, big sister. Hearing her hoarse and tired voice, Mo Qingqing couldn't help but frown. Mo Tingting also smelled of alcohol and smoke, and she remembered that her sister never used to smoke. What happened to you? Mo Qingqing sighed. Didn't I have someone send you a bank card? I'll deposit money regularly in the future to ensure you have food and clothing. If you want to marry, I can also find someone suitable. Second sister is dead, didn't you know? Mo Tingting looked into Mo Qingqing's eyes. Their gazes met, and a hint of resentment seemed to flash in those empty eyes. Big sister, I can understand Mo Xian hating our family, and I don't have the right to say anything, but why did you have to do this too? Mo Qingqing didn't react for a moment. She didn't hear Mo Tingting's question at all. All she could think about was the sentence, second sister is dead. Ying is dead. Mo Qingqing grabbed her third sister's hand. Why didn't you tell me? When did this happen? Could I even contact you? Mo Tingting smiled bitterly, slowly pulling her hand away. She died in a car accident overseas, and her body was cremated locally and sent back to the country. Also, Mo Jinping, Jiang Sifeng, and Cheng Jiahao, who framed Mo Xian with him, all died in prison. The people arranged by the Luo family tortured these three in prison every day. The first to die was Jiang Sifeng. He was already in poor health, and every day his meals were knocked over. He was beaten, and he was violated. As for the other two, they weren't doing much better, but they lasted a little longer than Jiang Sifeng. Where is Ying? I want to see her. Mo Qingqing didn't care about the lives or deaths of those three people. Not even Mo Jinping, her half-brother who she had spent so many years with. She did abandon her family, especially her two younger sisters, but Mo Qingqing never wanted them to die. Big sister, can you tell me why? Mo Tingting ignored her words and asked stubbornly. Mo Qingqing looked at her, then looked around, and then took her hand and walked out of the hospital. Only after getting in her car did Mo Qingqing look at Mo Tingting, who was sitting in the passenger seat. Then she suddenly laughed. Don't tell me you still don't know anything. You don't know that Mo Jinping is father's illegitimate son and that he killed our biological brother. As for the other one, Mo Tingting didn't answer. She herself sometimes found this twisted family ironic and laughable. I admit, Tingting, that what I'm doing is too much, but you've seen how much I've done for the family in the past. Mo Qingqing placed her right hand on the steering wheel and stared out the car window in a daze. My parents ignored my efforts, and even Grandpa never said a word for me. Not to mention others, you should know that I even took care of some of your affairs. I haven't let down the Mo family, let alone you. But what was the result? I had to give up the position of president, and even after I worked hard for several years, Mo's was finally developing, but became a wedding dress for Mo Jinping. I gave Mom and Dad countless opportunities, but what was the result? I'm not Mo Xian. He didn't have the ability to fight back then, but I do. Tingting, you probably also know about Mo Xian being with the Luo family sisters now, right? I don't have their good fortune, and I don't have a platform like the Luo family. Since I can't count on Mom and Dad, I can only count on myself. Since they are unjust, don't blame me for being unrighteous. I just want to climb higher. I just want to one day stand at the top of the pyramid in Kyoto. Mo Tingting listened quietly to her big sister's words, not saying a word. Only after Mo Qingqing finished did Mo Tingting ask, and then? Mo Qingqing was stunned, not understanding what Mo Tingting meant. Big sister, you climbed to the top of that pyramid, and then what? Mo Tingting said softly. After you've done all this, what else do you want to do? Also, you know that the Luo family sisters have gone abroad. They gave up the pyramid that you cherish the most. Don't you have any thoughts? For the first time in her life, Mo Qingqing was rendered speechless by her third sister, whom she usually considered stupid. Big sister, I wish you success. Mo Tingting smiled and reached out to open the car door. Before getting out of the car, she turned back to look at her. I still live in our family's villa, you know. If you ever have no one to talk to, remember that you still have a sister. With that, Mo Tingting turned around and got out of the car, leaving. Mo Qingqing watched her somewhat desolate figure and didn't regain her senses for a long time. People are just different. Mo Qingqing laughed self-deprecatingly. They sisters have always been in that position, and I'm different from them. Mo Qingqing didn't know if she was answering Mo Tingting or herself. Her phone suddenly rang. It was Ye's mother telling her that her engagement dress was ready and asking her to come try it on. Mo Qingqing took one last look in the direction where Mo Tingting had disappeared, then started the car and left the hospital. She suddenly remembered a movie she had watched as a child, Infernal Affairs. Both Lao Qinming and Chan Wingyan were thrown from one vortex into another. The classic line, 3 years, then another 3 years, sounded a bit funny at the time, but now Mo Qingqing only felt bitterness when she thought about it. But for her, there was no turning back. She could only keep going. Having lived abroad for so long, Mo Xian was busy again after returning to Beijing. Aside from taking care of his 2 wives, he also had to handle dropping off and picking up the kids from kindergarten. While abroad, Mo Xian hadn't really relaxed. He still participated in writing some of Rongxing's programs and sometimes had video calls with relevant personnel. Luo Xia and Luo Muki had returned to the manor to rest during their pregnancies, and Mo Xian had just driven Luo Wire and Luo Shuer to kindergarten when Luo Muki called. "Brother, when you come back, can you bring me a chocolate cake?" "Okay, I got it," Mo Xian said with a wry smile. "You never get tired of it." He parked the car in front of shop, packed a cake for Luo Muki, and across from the supermarket, a woman was moving a case of beer inside. "Ting Ting, take it easy." Mo Xian heard the voice and felt a sudden sense of disorientation. He abruptly turned his head and saw Mo Qingqing coming out, extending her right hand to help the woman, who was facing away from him, move the beer inside. Mo Xian looked at his biological older sister with some surprise. This woman, who in the past was always in a women's suit or professional attire, was now wearing ordinary jeans and a casually thrown-on coat, which was very clean. It wasn't until the woman carrying the beer turned around that he recognized her as Mo Tingting. Like Mo Qingqing, she was dressed plainly, without makeup, wiping the sweat from her forehead with the back of her hand. As if sensing the gaze, Mo Qingqing looked up and her eyes met Mo Xian's. To his surprise, Mo Qingqing didn't seem embarrassed to be seen in her current circumstances, nor did she avoid his gaze. "Long time no see," Mo Qingqing said with a smile after a brief moment of surprise, greeting Mo Xian. When Mo Tingting heard this, she quickly turned around and covered her mouth when she saw it was Mo Xian, and tears quickly began to flow down. "What are you doing here?" Mo Xian pointed to the small supermarket behind them. "Did something happen?" After returning to China, Mo Xian hadn't specifically inquired about the Mo family, only hearing from Uncle Zheng that Mo Jinpeng and the others had died in prison, supposedly contracting venereal diseases. As for these 3 sisters, Uncle Zheng told Mo Xian that the Yi family had problems, and Mo Qingqing was reportedly taken away by the police at her engagement banquet. "Why don't you come in and sit for a while?" Mo Qingqing said to Mo Xian proactively. "Are you doing well abroad?" "Yeah, not bad." Mo Xian nodded. "So, you and she opened a supermarket together?" It was hard to believe that the woman in front of him was the once infinitely glamorous Mo Qingqing, who was scheming and ruthless in the business world. Now, that coldness and ruthlessness were completely gone, replaced by a sense of calm and composure. The supermarket wasn't large, but the shelves were neatly arranged, the floor was clean, and the goods were displayed in an orderly manner. Mo Tingting proactively pulled over a plastic stool, and even wiped it off for Mo Xian to sit on. Mo Qingqing saw the confusion in his eyes, and then said with a wry smile, "Scheming and being too clever only harms oneself." Mo Xian knew the origin of the phrase, from Wang Shifeng's "Smartness brings trouble" in Dream of the Red Chamber. "I was supposed to marry Yi Ning, but I didn't expect that at that time, old missus. You would report me." Mo Qingqing laughed self-deprecatingly. She didn't expect that I would use Yi Ning to get to her, and I didn't expect that she would choose to use me as an example at my and Yi Ning's engagement. Mo Qingqing had been guarding against old Mrs. Yi, thinking of many possibilities, but never expecting that the old witch would choose to attack her suddenly at her and Yi Ning's engagement. Mo Qingqing wasn't stupid and knew she had handles, so she had prepared countermeasures long ago. In the end, with insufficient evidence, Mo Qingqing avoided prison, but she lost everything. Fines and back taxes meant that Mo Qingqing's personal assets, which had just been returned to her, were once again completely gone, and the Yi family publicly cut ties with her, and her cosmetics company ultimately ended up benefiting the Yi family. But how could Mo Qingqing just sit and wait for death? Old Mrs. Yi once again underestimated Mo Qingqing. She not only had evidence of Yi Ning's promiscuous private life, but also, while at the Yi family, Yi Ning trusted her too much and delegated many things to her. This directly led to Mo Qingqing also holding a lot of dirt on the Yi family. Mo Qingqing not only reported it under her real name, but even used the little money she had to buy trending searches, anonymously posting this information online. The Yi family therefore experienced turmoil, and the fatal blow to the Yi family was dealt by Luo Tian's wife, Lu Yi. Of course, Luo Tian's explanation was, "I'm a businessman, I'd be stupid not to take advantage of an opportunity." He wouldn't admit that he'd been planning to teach Yi Ning a lesson ever since that cocktail party. Luo Tian didn't expect that before he could make a move, such a big mess would break out in the Yi family. And Lu Yi, with the help of the Lu family, gave the Yi family a heavy blow. But for Mo Qingqing, in the end, neither she nor the Yi family won. Actually, I've been thinking if I had stopped then with my assets at the time, I could have lived a stable life for the rest of my life. Mo Qingqing said with a wry smile, rolling up her sleeve, revealing a somewhat frightening scar on her left arm. Yi Ning left this as revenge. My left hand is now completely useless. Mo Qingqing put her sleeve down again. Old Mrs. Yi died of illness, and the Yi family is still a big shot, but Yi Ning was used to being arrogant, offended many people, and when others retaliated against him, he vented his anger on me. The Yi family, even after being attacked by the Lu family, still had a lot of wealth, and it wouldn't be impossible to live the rest of their lives without worrying about food and clothing. But Yi Ning was unwilling. Those who used to curry favor with him ended up standing against him, and even when he went in nightclubs and bars, those waiters he used to humiliate wouldn't give him a good look. How could the always arrogant Yi Ning tolerate this kind of reversal? After an outburst with a friend he used to drink with, that person sneered and ridiculed him. "The reason your Yi family has come to this is because you were stupid and let Mo Qingqing play you like a dog?" These words deeply stung Yi Ning, and at that time, the penniless Mo Qingqing didn't know where to go. Mo Qingqing took the initiative to find her after hearing the news, taking her back to the Mo family villa. Unexpectedly, Yi Ning came to her door, and when Mo Qingqing went out, Yi Ning slashed her arm with a knife, injuring her tendons. After that, all my savings were used to treat my illness. After knowing that my hand was disabled, I don't know why, I lost my ambition. Mo Qingqing didn't remember Yi Ning's foul language, nor did she remember how much pain she was in at the time. She only felt tired, inexplicably tired, and even thought it might be nice to just die. However, Mo Qingqing cried and ran to save her, and Yi Ning was subdued by the security guards. Yi Ning was imprisoned for assault and injury, and his parents had to take care of his 3 illegitimate children while spending money to smooth things over. In the end, his parents, for some unknown reason, took the 3 children to another place. Maybe they were disappointed too? Yi Ning was still the same in the end. Mo Qingqing said with a wry smile. Later, Ting Ting and I sold the Mo family villa and used the remaining money to open this supermarket. Mo Xian didn't say anything, just listened quietly. After Mo Qingqing finished speaking, she looked up at Mo Xian. Since he left home and was with those 2 sisters, Mo Xian's eyes had changed a lot. In the past, in the Mo family, Mo Xian's eyes were only filled with indifference, alienation, and rejection of them. But now, when Mo Xian looked at them, there was only calmness and composure. "I should go back," Mo Xian said slowly, standing up after hearing Mo Qingqing's words. "My wife is pregnant, with our 2nd child." Mo Qingqing couldn't help but laugh slightly, thinking it's wives who are pregnant, right? But she didn't say it out loud. "After this, I don't think we'll see each other again, right?" Mo Qingqing smiled. "Mo Xian, Ting Ting, and I don't expect you to forgive us. I just hope you'll be happy in the future." Mo Xian looked at her and responded with a relieved smile, taking the cake and leaving the supermarket. It wasn't until she watched Missouri Xian drive away that Mo Qingqing couldn't help but ask, "Sister, you forget it. I mentioned it to my assistant before. The best ending for me and Mo Xian is to never see each other again." Mo Qingqing shook her head. "This store is doing pretty well now. As long as we run it with our heart, it's okay to work a little harder." "Sister, it's okay. We'll work hard. Maybe we can expand this little supermarket in the future." Mo Qingqing comforted her. "You were able to manage such a big company well. There will still be opportunities in the future. Think about it." "No, Mo Qingqing looked at her sister, with an indescribable sense of fatigue and helplessness in her eyes. Now I think the most tragic thing about me is that I no longer have the drive I had in the past to do whatever it takes. Mo Tingting swallowed back the words she was about to say. Mo Qingqing turned around and numbly went to organize the goods. It wasn't that Mo Qingqing hadn't thought about trying again after the villa was sold, but in the end she gave up. The most tragic thing for her was that she didn't believe that she was destined for this. She was single-minded and wanted to climb up, even at the cost of alienating everyone. But in the end, Mo Qingqing found that she still hadn't accomplished anything, and greed and calculation ultimately caused her to fall to the bottom. She accepted her fate for the first time in her life, but only after she had nothing. Really? I understand. Okay, geez, haven't I told you I never even started anything with him? It's not that I'm against blind dates. I just don't feel like it. It's not because of Mo Xian. Helplessly placating Huangya, Shangwan Meng smiled wryly and put her phone aside. Maybe her feelings for Mo Xian had been too long, leading her best friend to disbelieve that she had already moved on. Looking at the coupon she had made into a bookmark, Shangwan Meng was momentarily lost in thought. Had she let go? She probably had. Could she really forget him completely? That would be deceiving herself. For Shangwan Meng, that boy had been like a beautiful dream since her adolescence. But she hadn't taken that step because she was too introverted and had the inferiority complex resulting from her parents' high-pressure education during her childhood. It might not have been a good thing even if you two had gotten together. Look at your personalities, TSK. Suddenly remembering what Huangya had said when she was comforting her, Shangwan Meng smiled helplessly. She had once seen how Mo Xian treated Su Yanran from a very close distance, and she had also seen how Mo Xian now treated Luo Xia and Luo Myuki. She always believed that Mo Xian would definitely be a good partner, even a good husband, but all of this seemed to have nothing to do with her, or never had anything to do with her. After the hospital, she never saw Mo Xian again, and she also blocked all of Mo Xian's WeChat contacts. She thought that one day, after she had truly moved on, she would see him again. They were destined to be unfulfilled, unable to be each other's other half, but they could be good friends. Perhaps when they meet again, she could smile and greet the unsuspecting Mo Xian like nothing had happened, and then say, "Long time no see, Mo Xian." Unconsciously, it had been almost 2 years, hadn't it? She herself didn't remember the time. From then on, Shangwan Meng devoted all her energy to work and study. Occasionally seeing that coupon, she would still think of Mo Xian. However, there was no longer the sadness of not getting him in the past. More than that, she thought of him being with those 1 in a million sisters, and he must be very happy. Actually, this is also a kind of letting go, right? A colleague heard her experience and current mood, thought for a while, and said with a smile, "Actually, very few people can do what you do. Even if it's a secret love, the other person never knows, but there's always a sense of unwillingness in the heart." I don't know why either. Shangwan Ming thought about it. Actually, it seems that the only thought I've had the most is whether he is happy or not. Maybe I'm too inferior, so I didn't have the chance to be with him. No, on the contrary, I think your kind of love is more admirable, the colleague said jokingly. After all, human nature is selfish, and everyone hopes to be with their loved ones forever. It's naturally best to maintain that selfishness and be consistent with your lover, because people are fickle. In this era, it's really not easy to be consistent. However, it is also rare to give up this selfishness and hope that he is doing well. After all, giving up is sometimes more painful and reluctant than picking up. The colleague stood up, patted her on the shoulder, and said, "Shangwan, from this point of view, you are really amazing." Being said this by her colleague, Shangwan Meng felt a little embarrassed. She didn't think she was so great. She just did what she thought was right. Huangya, after much searching, finally found Luo Myuki's moments on WeChat through a classmate who was also in the fine arts department. There were many photos of her recent life, including Mo Xian. Seeing Mo Xian in the photos, Shangwan Meng couldn't help but sigh. He was still the same as she remembered. It seemed that Mo Xian had never changed. Unlike in the past, Mo Xian was smiling in every photo. It was a very happy smile, and sometimes Luo Myuki would playfully pull him into a selfie together. Even in the most recent photo, the love in the eyes of Luo Myuki and Mo Xian when they looked at each other could be transmitted through the lens. If the younger sister was like this, how could the older sister not be? Of course, Shangwan Ming could not guess that Mo Xian's current life could be described as a sweet burden. After all, at home, there were 2 women who had episodes of being possessive every day. "Look, you still can't let him go, right?" Huangya complained in a timely manner. Otherwise, Why would you want to see his recent situation? Shangwan Meng just smiled. Some things might not be explained, even if they were said. She did not let go. She just wanted to see him doing well. The former Mo Xian was really unhappy. At that time, she was cautious, but she didn't dare to get too close to him, only hoping that she could give him some comfort, even just a little. Even though she could face it calmly now, she still hoped that he was happy, that's all. Spring passed and autumn came, and it was another snowy season. It was almost New Year's Day. Shangwan Meng was walking down the street in a white down jacket, holding a cup of warm milk tea in her hand. The businesses were decorated with lanterns and colorful streamers, and the streets were bustling with people. She was walking quietly down the street while drinking milk tea. A shopping mall, being unique, hired a children's choir to sing Merry Christmas. Shangwan Meng couldn't help but stop and watch for a while. Unexpectedly, she turned around and bumped into a man holding a pile of documents. It had snowed, and the ground was slippery. Shangwan Meng was about to fall when the man grabbed her hand. As a result, all his documents were knocked away, and Shangwan Meng's milk tea was also spilled on him. I'm sorry, I was too anxious. The man apologized to her in a panic while squatting down to pick up the scattered documents. Even though the milk tea was spilled on them, he didn't complain at all. Let me help you. Shangwan Meng helped him pick up the documents, which were a chemical experiment report with neat and clean handwritten notes. Thank you. Shangwan Meng found it a little funny. It was obviously her who accidentally bumped into him, but this person kept apologizing to her. Only then did Shangwan Meng see the man clearly. He looked about the same age as her, clean and handsome, with a very simple feeling, but he looked a little silly. Handing him the collected documents, the man quickly raised his head and thanked her. But when he saw Shangwan Meng, his face turned red all of a sudden, and he lowered his head in a panic. I'm sorry. I accidentally ruined your documents. It's okay. It's because I was too anxious. The man scratched his nose awkwardly. I'm sorry. I'll pay you for your milk tea. It's my fault that I implicated you. It's okay. I said it was because I was too anxious. He stubbornly gave the milk tea to Shangwan Meng, and then looked at her carefully again, and suddenly said in surprise, You are Dr. Shangwan, right? Shangwan Meng was very surprised, and the man's eyes were shining as he said, I remember you. I saw you at the hospital before, how you comforted a female student with depression. In a daze, Shangwan Meng remembered that she had indeed treated a girl before. That girl was very similar to her in the past. She also suffered from depression because her parents gave her too much pressure. That was also the first time that the good-tempered Shangwan Meng lost her temper and severely reprimanded her parents. I happened to be in your hospital at that time, and I remembered your name then. The man showed an honest smile, and the sincerity and simplicity in his eyes made Shangwan Meng a little embarrassed and lowered her head. Don't say that. I'm a doctor. This is what I should do. Shangwan Meng's face turned red. Are you a student or? Oh, my name is Meng Ran, a doctoral student, majoring in chemical agents. Meng Ran was also a little embarrassed. Actually, that time your hospital was consulting my tutor on drugs, and I went with him. I didn't expect to see that scene. Not knowing how, the two of them stood there and chatted. Shangwan Meng felt that she and this person named Meng Ran seemed to be very compatible. It was the first time that she could chat with a man so openly. At this time, the children's choir over there changed to a Cantonese song. The moon is bright, surrounded by stars. Hurry and look at the starry tears. One pair during the day, one pair at night. Fireflies in pairs. The night is quiet. All living beings accompany each other. The rain is fine. The wind meets. Come in pairs, return in pairs, falling flowers in pairs. Ask the fireflies, who are you shining on? Not afraid of being tired, afraid of being lonely and sleeping. Fluttering and flying away in the sky. What's wrong? Even in the snow and ice, they are a pair. The two of them tacitly did not speak, but quietly listened to the entire song. Suddenly, Meng Ran looked at Shangwan Meng and smiled very cheerfully. By the way, Happy New Year in advance, Dr. Shangwan. Happy New Year, classmate Meng. Shangwan Meng responded with a smile. Maybe, in the new year, everything will be different, right? When Mo Xian first arrived abroad, he always had a question he wanted to ask his two wives. My parents. Yeah, I talked to your uncle last time, and it felt like listening to my memoirs. Hearing Mo Xian's words, Luo Xia and Luo Muki exchanged glances, finally offering helpless bitter smiles. Luo Xia should really have the most to say about this. After all, she back then was essentially the current Luo Wire and Luo Shui. Meanwhile, back in China, Shun Qingyun was organizing documents in her study when she accidentally bumped into a photo on her desk, the only family photo of the four of them. Since returning from the old house, she had suggested more than once that they take another photo, but was met with refusal from Luo Xia and Luo Muki. No photos in the past, and none needed now. Mom, it's not necessary. Thinking of her daughter's cold words, Shun Qingyun couldn't help but sigh. She remembered that before they left China with Mo Xian and the two daughters, she couldn't resist meeting the sisters one last time. But what good did the meeting do? They just looked at each other in silence, at a loss for words. For a mother and daughters to reach such a point was truly the end of the line. She didn't regret falling in love with Luo Sheng. The only regret was perhaps that she had supported Luo Sheng's choice in the first place. She knew how unwilling Luo Sheng was, so she had taken the initiative to suggest it herself. Afterwards, she immediately regretted it. When her daughters were children, she had never fulfilled her duties as a mother, because she was assisting Luo Sheng's career. Looking back on her youth, Shun Qingyun's encounter with Luo Sheng was also an accident. Back then, she had traveled alone to Kyoto to study, and student life was not as rich as it is now. Shun Qingyun was dragged by Qin Ni, a woman from her department, to a school dance. Shun Qingyun didn't really like this person. She was flirting with her first love while also discussing marriage with the young master of the Mo family. In those days, this kind of thing was actually very embarrassing, but Qin and I felt that she was doing it very secretly and kept emphasizing that she and Jiangfeng were long over. The only two things Shun Qingyun was grateful to this woman for in her life were that she gave birth to a son-in-law who could appease her two daughters, and, because of her, she accidentally met Luo Sheng. In some ways, Luo Sheng was very similar to Mo Xian. They were both the kind of people you could see at a glance in a crowd. At the time, Luo Sheng seemed to have been forced to come as well. He had no interest in the dance, and just sat on a chair, listlessly spacing out. Young Luo Sheng was outstanding in appearance, gentle and refined, and possessed the air of a noble young master. Even in casual clothes and spotless sneakers, he was enough to draw attention to himself. Shun Qingyun tugged at a female classmate beside her, pointed to Luo Sheng over there, and asked, "Do you know that student?" "You don't know him?" The female classmate was surprised. "He's Luo Sheng, the second young master of the Luo family in Kyoto. He has a good temper, but he doesn't like these kinds of events. His classmates probably dragged him here." Shun Qingyun had heard of Luo Sheng, but had never met him. After all, even in those days, Luo Sheng was driven to school. Usually, their majors and social circles hardly overlapped. Moreover, the Shun family had arranged a marriage for her long ago, to the son of an old friend of the Shun family. Years later, Shun Qingyun actually always regretted why she hadn't met Luo Sheng sooner. Always arrogant, Shun Qingyun in Shanghai was always approached by other boys, but usually only with one result: being ignored. Even her fiancé, in name, only never received a good look from Shun Qingyun. "Hello." Luo Sheng, who was feeling drowsy, suddenly heard a very pleasant voice in his ear. He looked up blankly, and at the first sight of Shun Qingyun, Luo Sheng couldn't help but be stunned. Born into a wealthy family in Kyoto, he had met all kinds of people with his parents since he was a child, but Shun Qingyun was the first to leave such a deep impression on Luo Sheng. Not just because of the stunning beauty that would give her daughters such excellent genes, but more because of the unique temperament Shun Qingyun possessed and the light that flickered in her eyes, a light that Luo Sheng had never seen before. Confidence, and some kind of emotion he couldn't understand. "Hello," Luo Sheng replied politely, his upbringing prevailing despite the stirring in his heart. "May I ask who you are?" "Shun Qingyun, from the Shun family of Shanghai." Shun Qingyun was actually very clever. She didn't believe that the son of the Luo family wouldn't know of the Shun family. Directly stating her identity was not to show off, but to tell Luo Sheng that she wasn't the kind of girl who would strike up a conversation with him to curry favor. Luo Sheng was a little surprised. He had naturally heard of the Shun family. What he didn't expect was that he would actually be in the same school as the Shun family's daughter. "What? You don't believe me?" Shun Qingyun asked with a smile. "Do I need to prove it?" "No, I'm just a little surprised." Luo Sheng smiled a little embarrassedly. "I haven't heard that the Shun family's daughter came to Kyoto. You don't like this kind of occasion, so why did you come?" Shun Qingyun asked curiously. "I noticed you just now, sitting here all by yourself, looking like you're about to fall asleep. I couldn't help it. My classmates took bribes from my brother." Luo Sheng gave a helpless, bitter smile. He said, "I'm almost a senior, and all I do is hide in the library or go home to study with my father, with no social life at all. Actually, Luo Sheng wasn't telling the truth. His older brother, Luo Quan, was doing everything he could for his younger brother, a young master of a wealthy family, outstanding in appearance, with countless daughters of prominent families chasing after him. But Luo Sheng was just like Mo Xian before he met Luo Xia and Luo Muqi, preferring to spend most of his time in the library. The Luo family didn't arrange any marriage for Luo Sheng. They just wanted him to find someone with a similar family background that he liked. After all, Luo Quan had had a free love marriage. His wife, Luo Tian's mother, actually had a certain gap in family background compared to the Luo family. But not only did Luo Quan like her, but the old Madame Luo liked her very much after seeing her in person. The family didn't force Luo Sheng, but he wasn't in a hurry at all. So Luo Quan, in a fit of anger, sent gifts to his close classmates, telling them to change his bad habits even if they had to drag him. "I'm sorry, Luo Sheng, your brother really gave too much." Luo Sheng looked at his money-grubbing friends and could only sigh helplessly, letting them drag him to the dance. Of course, if he really didn't want to, no one could force him. At least compared to the past, the fact that he was willing to come was already very good. "How about we go for a walk together?" Shen Qingyun suddenly reached out and grabbed Luo Sheng's sleeve. "You don't want to be here, and neither do I. So why don't we just run away together?" This. Luo Sheng hadn't even reacted before Shen Qingyun had grabbed his sleeve and pulled him up. Actually, Luo Sheng had been wondering ever since that day how Shen Qingyun, who was only so tall, could have actually pulled him, who was over 6 feet tall, out. Perhaps that was just Jiang Taigong fishing. The willing takes the bait? That day, Luo Sheng was glad he had attended the dance for the first time. As he followed behind Shen Qingyun turned her head to look at him, and the smile on her face was something Luo Sheng couldn't forget even to this day. Of course, Luo Sheng didn't know what kind of person Shen Qingyun was at heart. So, seeing Mo Xian, Luo Sheng was absolutely certain that this fool getting hooked was only a matter of time. After all, his 2 daughters were much more clever than his wife. After that day, Luo Sheng became even more proactive than usual. Once, Luo Quan brought his wife home. He woke up early one morning and passed by Luo Sheng's room, only to find him already awake. Luo Quan rubbed his eyes hard, wondering if this was really his brother's doing. Luo Sheng was carefully combing his hair in front of the mirror, with several neatly ironed outfits laid out on the bed. After fixing his hair, Luo Sheng picked up each outfit and began to compare them. "Shengzi, what are you doing?" Luo Quan's sudden question almost scared Luo Sheng to death. "Bro, don't scare people like that. You could kill someone." "No, Shengzi, you're the one who scared me. You even put on cologne and styled your hair, or changing outfits. I don't care who you are. Get out of my brother's body." It's no wonder Luo Quan was so surprised. His brother usually didn't care much about dressing up, as long as he looked presentable. Of course, Luo Quan was the last person who should be saying this, since Luo Tian's sloppiness was inherited from him. After that day with Shen Qingyun, the relationship between Luo Sheng and Shen Qingyun became much more subtle. Luo Sheng wondered if it was just his imagination, but it seemed like he had never encountered Shen Qingyun before. But since that day, he always saw Shen Qingyun at school. Of course, he didn't know that these so-called coincidences were actually deliberately orchestrated by Shen Qingyun. After all, how many coincidences are there in this world? At that time, Luo Sheng only felt that their relationship was special. Of course, at that time, he didn't know what was meant by more than friends, less than lovers. University life flew by. Qin and I married Mo Changshan immediately after graduation, and Shen Qingyun didn't pay much attention to news about her anymore. She had once wanted to confess to Luo Sheng at graduation, but at that time her family was urging her to return to Shanghai as soon as possible. Shen Qingyun also knew that she was being forced to return and fulfill an engagement she didn't like. Confessing to Luo Sheng at this time was obviously inappropriate. She couldn't completely defy her parents yet. What about after graduation? Luo Sheng was stunned by Shen Qingyun's words. "I'll probably go home and help out. My brother has always wanted me to go over and help him share the burden." Luo Sheng was a very career-minded person. He seemed gentle and refined, but in the business world, Luo Sheng was like a different person, decisive and with a keen eye. But Shen Qingyun knew very well that even for the Luo family in Kyoto, even though Luo Sheng was so outstanding, her family probably wouldn't give up on the original engagement, given their attitude. The Luo family was indeed enviable, but the Shen family had no stake in them. On the contrary, Shen Qingyun's fiancée was not only a childhood friend of the Shen family, but also had intertwined interests, publicly and privately. The Shen family couldn't abandon their long-standing business relationship to let Shen Qingyun marry Luo Sheng. So Shun Qingyun needed to find a way herself, and the most effective way was a single word: delay. Shun Qingyun contacted her family, expressing her willingness to stay in Kyoto to expand the Shun family's business there. The Shun family had always wanted to gain a foothold in Kyoto, but the landscape there was filled with powerful families, and the complexity of relationships was no less than in Shanghai. If we can open up relationships with Kyoto, it can only benefit our family, Shun Qingyun said earnestly to her parents during the phone call. Moreover, many companies in Kyoto want to cooperate with those in Shanghai, and the best partner is our family. This is a great opportunity for us. Shun Qingyun's words moved her father. Of course, what she said was indeed true. If the Shun family could open up relationships in Kyoto, it would only bring them advantages. But in reality, Shun Qingyun was only using public resources for her own purposes. By delaying fulfilling the engagement, she could take the opportunity to get closer to Luo Shang. Shun Qingyun didn't agree with Qin Ni's views back in college. At the time, she had said to herself, "Anyway, I'm the only child in my family, and I'm working hard to study jewelry design. I'll get married and have children first, and the family business will be mine in the future." Shun Qingyun didn't think that way. She always felt that she had to gain the comprehensive recognition of the person she was interested in, especially for families like hers. Being well-matched in social status was important. But above that, if she could let Luo Shang see her abilities, he would only value her more, given his character, right? Actually, Shun Qingyun and her two daughters had very similar ideas, but she preferred to give Luo Shang business support. Companionship in life was necessary, but not the top priority. The two sisters were more concerned with gradual penetration into life and career. After all, Mo Xian didn't have much of a career to speak of. So she stayed in Kyoto. With the support of her parents, Shun Qingyun's outstanding abilities really allowed her to thrive. Luo Shang didn't expect Shun Qingyun to be so capable. He had secretly instructed people to give her some help, but Shun Qingyun managed to establish herself in Kyoto with almost no foundation, solely relying on the Shun family's financial support. Shun Qingyun guessed correctly. Luo Shang admired and respected her abilities. In the repeated work contacts, Shun Qingyun clearly noticed that Luo Shang's gaze towards her had grown from initial infatuation to admiration and love. As for the next step, Shun Qingyun hadn't planned it out yet. But unexpectedly, rumors had already begun to spread in Kyoto that the Luo family had begun looking for potential wives for Luo Shang. When Shun Qingyun heard this news, her face instantly turned gloomy. She had been working on this for so long, originally planning to slowly boil the frog in warm water, little by little. Moreover, after dragging it out for so long and achieving results, her family was no longer in a hurry for her to return to Shanghai to get engaged. Now, there were rumors that the Luo family was going to arrange a marriage for Luo Shang. What was she working for? She might as well have just forced the issue long ago. However, she probed Luo Shang indirectly, but unexpectedly, Luo Shang smiled and directly told her, "Don't listen to the rumors outside. My family hasn't arranged anything. My sister-in-law already has my nephew Luo Tian, and my family sees that I'm more interested in managing the business. So, they haven't urged me." After speaking, Luo Shang looked at Shun Qingyun, hesitated, and finally swallowed back the words of confession that were on the tip of his tongue. Who would have thought that the ruthless second young master of the Luo family, who was so decisive in the business world, would become so hesitant when it came to matters of the heart? So when Shun Qingyun saw Mo Xian, she sometimes wanted to laugh. Her daughter and herself had such similar tastes in men. Mo Xian was talented, and although his amnesia was understandable, he had been raising a child with her daughter for 3 years, always hesitant and never daring to take a step forward. She had even almost suspected that Mo Xian was Luo Shang's son. Otherwise, why would their personalities be so similar? She jokingly mentioned it, scaring Luo Shang into swearing oaths and even wanting to do a paternity test with Mo Xian to prove his innocence. However, this matchmaking storm made Shun Qingyun feel a sense of crisis in her heart. She probably couldn't delay any longer. It wasn't that her family would urge her, but what if the Luo family really arranged for Luo Shang to go on blind dates and get married? Wouldn't she have worked for nothing? Back at the company, Shun Qingyun thought for a long time and finally called her female secretary. "Help me check on all the recent activities of the Luo family's second young master. It's best to arrange for someone to follow him and report to me whenever he goes out for entertainment." "This, boss, what are you going to do?" The secretary looked at her curiously. "Aren't we always on good terms with Luo heir Xiao? Did he offend you?" "Yes, he offended me." Shun Qingyun actually smiled. "So, I'm going to punish him properly." Just punish him by becoming my husband. How could this be? Luo Sheng wondered. How could a bit of overindulgence at a business dinner lead to him waking up naked in a hotel room with Shen Qingyun? You're awake? Shen Qingyun seemed to have just woken up as well, sitting up and stretching. Don't worry about it. I just happened to be passing by yesterday and saw you were drunk. We're all adults here, so don't dwell on it. How could Luo Sheng not dwell on it? He swore he would marry Shen Qingyun and declared he was willing to accept any punishment. Don't worry, it's the thought that counts. I'm not blaming you, Shen Qingyun said with a smile, offering no other response. Her plan had succeeded. She knew Luo Sheng's personality well and that he had feelings for her. More importantly, the matters in Shanghai were unresolved, and the issue of her parents remained a problem, making it impossible for her to agree to Luo Sheng's proposal. However, this incident was enough to keep him in check. After all, feelings were just feelings and a real relationship wouldn't affect a playboy, but it would certainly affect Luo Sheng. After all this time, Shen Qingyun knew exactly what kind of man Luo Sheng was. Then, Shen Qingyun discovered she was pregnant. She hadn't expected to get pregnant the first time. As a result, Shen Qingyun secretly cut off contact with everyone and hid away to give birth to the child, Luo Xia. At the time, regardless of whether Shen Qingyun was a daughter of a wealthy family, her actions were considered unconventional. Actually, regarding the later actions of Luo Xia and Luo Myuki, the one in the Luo family who reacted the least was their mother, Shen Qingyun. After all, what she did back then wasn't much different from what they were doing now. After Shen Qingyun gave birth to Luo Xia, she returned to Shanghai with her baby in her arms. Seeing her holding the child, Shen's father was furious. What's done is done. Getting angry won't change the fact that I have a child now, Shen Qingyun said calmly to her father, cradling baby Luo Xia and playing with her. Besides, it's not like I just grabbed any random man. It's Luo Sheng, the second son of the Luo family in Kyoto. To be honest, he's much better than the person you were trying to set me up with. No matter how much her parents tried to persuade her, Shen Qingyun refused to back down. In her view, she had found the person she loved, and their family background was just as good as the Shen family's. But the matter became a huge scandal. The eldest daughter of the Shen family being pregnant out of wedlock was a slap in the face to her fiancé's family. The news spread throughout the upper circles of Shanghai. Shen Qingyun didn't regret it. Since she was little, she had always listened to her parents' arrangements. She even considered marrying her fiancé, whom she had no feelings for, and just living her life like that. But she had met Luo Sheng. Her love for Luo Sheng, her unwillingness toward her arranged marriage, and her dissatisfaction with her parents' insistence made Shen Qingyun, whose personality was already somewhat stubborn, become increasingly extreme. It was no wonder, since her father was a stubborn person, which was why Shen Qingyun had such a headache regarding the marriage arrangement. In the end, Shen Qingyun broke off ties with her family. She handed over the Shen family business that she had carefully managed and returned to Kyoto with Luo Xia. Unexpectedly, as soon as she got off the plane, she saw Luo Sheng waiting for her at the airport. Luo Sheng was not in good shape. His eyes were red, his beard was unshaven, and he smelled of alcohol. Shen Qingyun was surprised to see Luo Sheng, who immediately hugged her and the child. Are you crazy? You kept such a big thing from me. As businessmen, even if the Luo and Shen families didn't have much interaction, the Luo family had business partners in Shanghai. Through them, Luo Sheng learned that Shen Qingyun was not only pregnant out of wedlock, but had also broken off ties with her family. More importantly, he had been searching for her ever since she disappeared, but she seemed to have vanished into thin air. Luo Sheng wasn't Mo Xian, who had no one to rely on. When Luo Xia and Luo Myuki went missing, Mo Xian couldn't do anything. Besides asking around at school, he even went to the Luo Corporation, but as an ordinary college student, how could they tell him anything? Luo Sheng, on the other hand, had money and connections, but he searched for a long time without success, which made him very depressed. Oh dear, but I'm back now, aren't I? Shen Qingyun smiled apologetically. Look, this is your daughter. The following events were very smooth. Even though Shen Qingyun had broken off ties with her family, she was still the eldest daughter of the Shen family. The Luo family's matriarch personally contacted the Shen family. No one knew how they negotiated, but although Shen Qingyun no longer managed the Shen family's business in Kyoto, she still received dividends every year, and she still made decisions on some projects. Shen Qingyun married Luo Sheng as she wished, and then gave birth to their second daughter, Luo Myuki. After getting married, Luo Sheng remained busy with business, and Shen Qingyun, feeling sorry for her husband, took the initiative to share his burden. In her view, the Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki, born into a family like the Luos, would not be lacking in any material things. Someone would take care of the children, and they would have the best of everything. She could spend more time with her husband and support his career. But she neglected the importance of parental companionship, which was sometimes more important than a superior material life. This led to Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki developing an extremely strong dependence on Xian later on. And in some ways, she did influence her daughters. Are you worried about Xian? Shen Qingyun was startled by Luo Sheng's words after they had sent their daughters to the airport and returned home. How can I not be worried? Luo Sheng gave his wife a meaningful look. Haven't you ever been worried? The poor kid has terrible parents, and his grandmother passed away. Are you okay? Xia and Miyuki treat him like the apple of their eye. Shen Qingyun found it funny. Look at what your daughters have done for him, and you're still worried about him? I checked. Xia customized Xian's phone, and it has a tracking device and a bug inside. What? Shen Qingyun stood up abruptly upon hearing Luo Sheng's words. How did you find out? I inquired. These two girls can hide things from others, but can they hide things from me? Luo Sheng shook his head helplessly. See, it's all your fault. You've had people watching me since they were little, from my assistants to my drivers. Even our cleaning lady has received red envelopes from you. Great, these two girls haven't learned anything else, but they've learned all your little tricks and even expanded on them. Hearing Luo Sheng's words, Shen Qingyun immediately tried to comfort him. Oh, darling, wasn't I just worried about you? Give me a break. Luo Sheng scoffed. I'm fine. We've been married for so many years. Although you're a bit controlling, I've accepted it. But think about Xian. He has to face both of our daughters at once. I don't even want to imagine what else they've done. Indeed. Shen Qingyun thought thoughtfully. Honey, where did Xia and Miyuki customize that phone? It was at. Luo Sheng was about to blurt it out, but then he realized something was wrong and looked at Shen Qingyun. What are you planning to do? Oh, I've also deeply reflected on my own problems. It's not appropriate to have people watching you all the time. Shen Qingyun said seriously. Look, I'll customize one for you too, so I don't have to keep giving red envelopes to the people around you all the time, right? In your dreams, Shen Qingyun. I'm talking about Xian's problem. I'm also talking about Xian's problem. Isn't that the phone Xian is using? A week later, Luo Sheng wanted to slap himself silly as he watched Shen Qingyun give him the customized phone with a smile on her face. Why did his mouth have to be so damn chatty? From childhood, Xian had always considered himself a content and easily satisfied person. After all, as a child, he was happy with iced watermelon in the summer, a sweet melon to eat, or an ice-cold drink from the convenience store after his morning run. Although he'd forgotten those 2 years of memories, according to Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki's descriptions of him, he hadn't changed much. So whenever he thought about how he actually had 2 wives, Xian's only thought was, this is a sin, truly a sin. It wasn't that he was ungrateful after getting a good deal. It was just that these sisters came up with too many new tricks every day. He was either being manipulated or on the road to being manipulated. More importantly, these mothers of his children were 2 top-tier, jealous women. When they first moved into the seaside villa, it was the first time Xian had ever truly lived by the sea, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of novelty. Of course, he didn't have to worry about anything. The sisters had hired a cleaning company that had already prepared everything before they arrived, and Aunt Hui had sent people over to supervise things long ago. Okay, go ahead, but don't go too far, Luo Xia said to Xian with a smile. Oh, right, there's an ice cream shop nearby. I checked, and their ice cream is delicious. Remember to bring some back. Okay, I got it. I'll be back in a bit, Xian said, turning and heading out the door. Over there, Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki exchanged a look and then tacitly took out a tablet and connected to Bluetooth headphones. Their new home was very close to the beach. It wasn't exactly a tourist attraction, but the scenery was truly beautiful and relatively quiet. It was mostly nearby residents who came here to swim or sunbathe. Sometimes Xian felt like it wasn't real. He inexplicably had 2 children, and then the mothers of his children not only came from prominent families, but had actually known him for a long time. While he was lost in thought, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and sexy white girl walked over and greeted Xian in English in a very friendly manner. Hello, sir. May I ask, are you Chinese? Xian was taken aback for a moment, then nodded. The white girl seemed very surprised, and then said in somewhat broken Mandarin, I'm Alice. I'm majoring in Chinese. I want to ask you, is my level okay right now? Xian really wanted to laugh when he heard her awkward Mandarin, but he could sense that the girl was very sincere, So, Mo Xian said very politely, well, just practice a little more. The white girl seemed very happy to hear that, and then told Mo Xian that she was actually dating a Chinese student and wanted to return to China with him. She had been secretly learning Chinese for a long time and wanted to give him a surprise, but she had never been confident. No, you speak very well, Mo Xian said with a smile. It's okay, take your time. The girl thanked Mo Xian. Throughout their conversation, the two of them not only communicated normally, but even maintained a distance. Mo Xian even adhered to the principle that he already had wives and looked down at the ground or up at the sky. After that girl left, Mo Xian walked along the beach for a while longer. When he went home, he passed by the ice cream shop that Luo Xia had told him about and bought some ice cream to take back. Brother, you're back? As soon as he entered the door, he was greeted by Luo Myuki, who had come to welcome him. But this voice was not only sarcastic, but also sounded like she was imitating a foreigner speaking Mandarin. Are you okay, Myuki? Mo Xian looked at her awkwardly. Why was this girl suddenly speaking nonsense? I'm fine, brother. Look at my grammar. Is there anything wrong? Luo Myuki continued to speak to him in this strange accent while pulling on Mo Xian and acting spoiled. Mo Xian was a little dazed. What was all this nonsense? Myuki, stop it. Luo Xia walked out of the living room. Didn't you see that Xiao Xian bought ice cream? Help put it in the refrigerator first, otherwise it will melt later. Luo Myuki pinched Mo Xian's arm hard, then took the bag of ice cream and left. Mo Xian rubbed his arm and asked Luo Xia, what's wrong with her? Why does it feel like Myuki is mad at me? I don't know. As soon as Luo Xia opened her mouth, it was the exact same sarcastic, foreign-accented Mandarin pronunciation as Luo Myuki. Mo Xian almost spat out a mouthful of blood. After thinking about it, Mo Xian suddenly felt that something was wrong. He had talked to a white girl who could speak Chinese, but how did they know? Xia, first of all, I did talk to a girl, but I don't think that's the point. The point is, are you guys stalking me? The more Mo Xian thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Otherwise, why are you two being so sarcastic? Oh, so you think you're not wrong? Luo Xia looked back at Mo Xian, her smile a little dangerous. So our man can just talk to other girls? And he actually thinks he did the right thing? No, the problem is I didn't say anything. Mo Xian wanted to argue, but Luo Xia suddenly grabbed his collar and kissed him hard on the lips. He tasted blood in his mouth. Luo Xia seemed to be gnawing, greedy, savage, and fierce. Xiao Xian, you belong to me and Myuki. You're not allowed to talk to other women. Luo Xia wrapped her arms around his neck, her dangerous and morbid gaze fixed on Mo Xian like a poisonous snake. This time, I'll let it go, but there can't be a next time, understand? Okay, I understand. Mo Xian reluctantly agreed, but then he realized that something was still wrong. How did they know he had talked to someone else? And thinking back to when they were still in Kyoto, there was a period of time when these two sisters could almost always find him right on time, even if he hadn't told them where he was. Xia, tell me, did you and Myuki put something on me? Mo Xian asked as he subconsciously groped around his body. Like a listening device or something? Oh, Xiao Xian, what are you saying? Luo Xia immediately became gentle again, even a little ingratiating. We didn't put anything on you. I promise there's absolutely nothing on you. It's my phone, right? Oh, right, you gave me this phone, and it's a custom-made phone. Oh, isn't it just because we were worried about you? Luo Xia raised her head, her beautiful peach blossom eyes looking at him with tears in them. Xiao Xian, look, we lost you for so long. What if you get lost again? Myuki and I would go crazy. Mo Xian looked at her helplessly, then looked at Luo Myuki, who had finished putting away the ice cream and was standing at the door looking just as pitiful. He sighed and could only say helplessly, you don't have to go to so much trouble. Don't do this again in the future. Didn't I say that I won't leave you again? After returning to Kyoto from abroad to accompany Luo Xia and Luo Myuki during their pregnancy, Luo Tianfei insisted on having dinner with him. The first thing Luo Tianfei said when he saw Mo Xian was, brother-in-law, how did you endure it? Mo Xian thought about it, then smiled and said, I just endured it like this. It was nothing more than having a GPS and listening devices in his phone. It was nothing more than these sisters staring at him, even if they didn't follow him wherever he went. Actually, I wasn't used to it first, but Mo Xian smiled helplessly. I slowly got used to it over time. Actually, they don't want much. They just don't have a sense of security. So what if they were Yanderus? If it weren't for him, they wouldn't be like this. If it weren't for them, he would really be alone and have nothing. So why should he worry about these small things? Of course, for Mo Xian, being with these two sisters had its share of headaches. Most people get a few days off each month, but not him. They only have to deal with one wife, but he has to deal with two. Grandpa Zhang favored him not only because he learned quickly, but also because Mo Xian's physical talent was truly outstanding, the type who could excel in other athletic endeavors even without martial arts training. But no matter how good his physique was, it couldn't withstand two Yanderas in his own home, could it? And who knew when or why Luo Xia and Luo Muki would act up? The most exaggerated thing was that sometimes he had to face them both at the same time. Thankfully, Mo Xian's physical condition was truly good, and even after going abroad, he still had to drink a bowl of Chinese medicine every morning that he still found hard to swallow. I say, haven't we moved abroad for almost half a year? Mo Xian's face was even more bitter than the medicine, and he couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the bowl. How is there still more? Is this an unlimited refill? Brother, don't worry. Even if it runs out, Uncle Zheng will arrange for it to be airlifted to us from China, Luo Muki said with a smile, intentionally pushing the bowl of medicine closer to Mo Xian. Don't worry about these things. Drink the medicine, brother. It's good for your health. Is it really good for my health? I'm too embarrassed to call you out. That's not right. I haven't seen any medicinal ingredients, and I haven't seen you guys decocting medicine either. Mo Xian still felt that something was off. Oh, Sister Hui and the others came too, didn't they? So many people. Oh, they're in a villa not far from us, and there aren't that many people. Only 10, including Sister Hui, Luo Xia said, pushing the sandwich she made in front of Mo Xian. Xiao Xian is really. Why are you asking so many questions lately? Ah, right. You two treat me like a fool. Who knows what other tricks you have up your sleeves? Brother, drink the medicine first, okay? Luo Muki said coquettishly, handing him the Chinese medicine. Mo Xian gritted his teeth. He had to drink it. After all, his health was his own. When he was in Kyoto, he felt that Uncle Zhang's daily tonics were superfluous, but now that he thought about it, if his body wasn't strong, he would have died at the hands of these two she-devils sooner or later. Seeing Mo Xian gag after drinking the medicine, Luo Xia helplessly handed him the prepared candy, then said affectionately, It's okay, Xiao Xian. I prepared many flavors of fruit candy at home. If it's not enough, I'll get you another one, okay? This isn't necessary. Mo Xian held a peach-flavored candy, and the bitterness in his mouth was finally slowly covered by sweetness. So, what exactly are Sister Hui and the others busy with? Although Mo Xian wouldn't run away, Luo Xia and Luo Muki were still worried. They had worked so hard, spent so much effort to keep Mo Xian by their side, and absolutely couldn't allow any more mistakes. Moreover, Luo Xia and Luo Muki only had a smattering of knowledge about Chinese medicine. So, among the female bodyguards who came with them, one had studied it and was responsible for preserving and organizing the medicinal materials, as well as decocting medicine for Mo Xian. Of course, they also protected their family's safety and secretly followed Mo Xian when he went out. Although there were surveillance and location tracking, they still had to keep an eye on him. Later, Mo Xian took his daughters out, and seeing two very familiar Chinese women following him about 10 meters away, he went home and asked Luo Xia, but the answer was still gentle and matter-of-fact. Aren't they just afraid you'll get lost? Sometimes Mo Xian felt that they treated him like their two daughters' age. Whenever Mo Xian encountered similar things, although he felt awkward, he could only accept it helplessly, thinking that they were sincerely treating him well, just that their methods were a bit extreme. Sometimes he even admired Luo Xia and Luo Muki. How did they come up with these crazy ideas? Even Luo Weier and Luo Schwerer, who were always fighting with them for their father. One day, when Mo Xian passed by their room, he heard Luo Muki say to them with a serious expression, When Dad takes you out, you must keep an eye on Dad. You can't let Dad be seduced by other women, or you won't have a dad. After thinking about it, Luo Muki added, Those are bad women. They all want to steal your dad. Mo Xian couldn't help but find it funny. The ones who usually fight with them for him the most are you unreliable mothers. Even if the children are young, do you think you could deceive them with this? Who knew? These two silly girls actually agreed and solemnly guaranteed that they would keep an eye on their dad. That look was not only firm, but also exuded a sense of wisdom. Although Luo Weier and Luo Schwerer sometimes had a lot of resentment towards their mother, they were still their mothers after all. Their status was much higher than others, so at this time, they still had to stand on their mother's side. Then, every time Mo Xian took them out, these two little dumplings began to treat people differently. Young men were a no-go. I have a dad, don't touch me. Young women were even more of a no-go. We have to prevent Dad from being stolen, so you're not allowed to touch me. After strict screening, the two little dumplings liked the kind, gentle old people the most, especially grandmothers. because Dad said that great-grandmother went to a faraway place and wouldn't be back. Dad must be very sad. These grandmothers are very similar to great-grandmother. Dad will remember great-grandmother when he sees them. Won't he feel less sad? Of course, this didn't mean that they wouldn't fight wits and courage with their mothers when they got home. It's just that, initially only 4 years apart, Luo Xia had Luo Miyuki completely under her thumb, and the two little dumplings really couldn't beat their mothers. Actually, Mo Xian found all of this quite interesting. Once, after being intimate with Luo Xia, Mo Xian couldn't help but ask, Xia, actually when we went abroad, you and Miyuki teased me, drugged me. I thought you didn't want to bring Wei and Shui out. Silly talk. Luo Xia slowly lay on Mo Xian's chest, looking at him sideways, her face satisfied and lazy. There are daughters. Miyuki and I lacked parental companionship in the past. Although I hope to be alone with you, I'll never get tired of it. But what I've experienced, I can't let my daughters experience it again. So, even if I'm unwilling sometimes, I still hope you can participate in every stage of our daughter's growth. What Miyuki and I didn't have, I can't let Wei and Shui not have either. Then what's the difference between me and my parents? Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki's love for Mo Xian was very twisted, but the children were originally conceived by scheming against Mo Xian. They still used the same methods as their mother, although it was more effective against Mo Xian than against their father. Luo Xia's initial intention in asking Mo Xian to take care of the two children was impure, but she didn't want her and Miyuki's children to lack parental love and companionship like they did in the past. They loved Mo Xian too much to give too much love to their daughters, so they let Mo Xian, the father, love them more, and they would love him enough. Of course, that's what they said, but Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki would still not be ambiguous when it came snatching him. Thank you, Xia. Mo Xian gently embraced Luo Xia, about to say a few words from his heart, but unexpectedly met Luo Xia's eyes full of desire and madness. In her sleep, Luo Wei suddenly woke up, mumbled to herself in a daze, then fell back to sleep. I think someone was calling for help just now. The seemingly uneventful, yet secretly tense and exciting life abroad continued for Mo Xian. He didn't expect they would be returning to China so soon. It was quite sudden. Luo Tian called to tell them that the Shun family in Shanghai wanted them to come back. Old Master Shun Qingyan's father, was celebrating his birthday, and he wanted to meet Lo Wei and Luo Shui, whom he had never seen. Your second uncle told me, don't force yourselves if you don't want to go, Luo Shui said, with the speakerphone on while she was talking to Luo Tian. Mo Xian, who was coding, and Luo Miyuki, who was reading beside him, could both hear. Luo Shui frowned. She didn't really want to go. Her relationship with the Shun family wasn't close. Her maternal grandparents had only met them after Mo Xian was injured, and at that time, Luo Shui and Luo Miyuki were in a bad mood, and they didn't know how to interact with their two granddaughters. Even when they lived together, Luo Shui and Luo Miyuki were unhappy and didn't like to talk. Old Master Shun and his wife didn't know their preferences or how to comfort them, so they just greeted them when they met. During that time, they didn't do anything special, but they still sent the two sisters a lot of expensive gifts. They didn't know how to face them emotionally, so they could only compensate them materially. Luo Shui wasn't hostile to them, but she really didn't know how to get along with them. Let's go, we've been here for a while, Mo Xian said softly, looking up at Luo Shui. Didn't we say we were going to travel? We can go back and visit before we go. Luo Shui nodded and then said to Luo Tian, okay, cousin, I'll arrange to return to China as soon as possible. Will my parents be going? Probably, but I won't be going. If you have time, come back to Kyoto to visit. If you're busy, don't bother. That's settled then. Before Luo Shui could answer, Luo Tian hung up the phone in a hurry. He was just being polite when he asked them to return to Kyoto. He was secretly hoping that these two wouldn't come back. You tell them to come back. Why are you hanging up so quickly? Louis looked at him, puzzled. Your cousins and their husbands have settled abroad and haven't been back for so long. Why are you so unenthusiastic? Enthusiastic? Are you kidding me? They get along so well with you, their sister-in-law, but you don't mention a word about how they torment me. Luo Tian complained in his heart, but he didn't dare to say a word out loud. Why did you suddenly agree to go back? Luo Shui didn't expect Mo Xian to agree, and Mo Xian sighed and said, after all, they are Wei and Shui's great-grandparents. They haven't seen them for so long. It wouldn't be right not to go if they really want to see them. After all, his grandmother was very close to Luo Wei and Luo Shui, and the Shin family had hinted more than once that they wanted to see the two children, but Luo Shiya and Luo Miyuki had never agreed. The family was planning to travel anyway, so they might as well visit the old folks if they wanted to see them. Besides, the past events didn't have much to do with them. There wasn't much to prepare. They booked their tickets, packed their luggage, and only Hui Jia brought 3 people with her. The family soon boarded a plane to Shanghai. In the past, Mo Xian always thought of himself as someone who hated trouble. He even thought that he might never leave Kyoto in his entire life. On the plane, Luo Shiya and Luo Miyuki were curious about the reason for Mo Xian's thoughts. In the past, it was because of school. Then it was because I felt like it was all the same wherever I went. And then it was because... Mo Xian smiled. Because I have you and the children now. My identity is different. At first, I put all my energy into the children, and then I was captivated by you 2 sisters. Wherever you go, I go. Mo Xian wasn't enthusiastic about traveling. Everyone has the idea of seeing different scenery, but Mo Xian didn't. It wasn't until he was with Luo Shiya and Luo Miyuki that Mo Xian knew why, because he was actually very lonely in the past. His grandmother was old, and her health wasn't good. The only person who could share with him couldn't go with him. And after he was with Su Yanran preferred to be with her family. In fact, after graduating from high school, Mo Xian thought about going to the sea with Su Yanran, or going somewhere else together. But when Su Yanran started to get involved with Mo Jinping, Mo Xian never had that idea again. He could see different scenery by himself, but he, who lacked love, hoped to see it with someone he cared about, to imprint it in his mind and become a memory to reminisce about in the future. He was very grateful that he found them, even double. After getting off the plane, the Shun family arranged for someone to pick them up and take them back to the Shun family villa, but Luo Shiya refused, only asking the person to take them to a hotel. The Shun staff didn't dare to make their own decisions and called Shun Qingyan. Shun Qingyan was silent for a while, then smiled bitterly and said, "Listen to my daughter, arrange the best hotel for them." The Shun staff was very efficient, arranging for them to stay in a luxury suite in a 5-star hotel in Shanghai. "I'm going to buy some food, okay?" Mo Xian looked at Luo Weier and Luo Shuer, who were dozing off in his arms. "Buy some snacks just to pass the time. Should I go with you?" Luo Shiya looked at Luo Miyuki, who was also tired. "I've let Hui Jia and the others go to rest first. Let Miyuki and the daughters rest well." When they arrived at a nearby large supermarket, they saw a boy and a girl arguing about something. "Oh, because I don't know what they look like, I just use their avatars. Just imagine it yourself." "No, don't listen to their nonsense. They're all rumors." A boy in a school uniform explained anxiously to the girl, while the girl pouted, deliberately refusing to look at him. "Why don't you believe me?" The boy looked obviously flustered. "I told you those are Photoshop pictures. It's all those group members' fault for spreading rumors, saying I'm a cross-dressing master. Don't be angry, Senior. I don't want to talk to you. Junior is a bad person." The girl's pronunciation was a little strange, sounding a little cute. Although she looked very angry, she seemed to be sulking. "Senior, you have to believe me. I'm really not a trap. I mean, I'm really not a cross-dresser. You admitted it. Or why would you say it so smoothly?" The senior, who was also wearing a school uniform, was obviously more angry and was about to leave in a huff. The junior behind her could only explain again and again, and the senior looked at him and thought for a long time and said, "Actually, I'm quite curious. What would you look like in women's clothes?" "No, Senior, I'm just teasing you. I'm hungry. Take me to eat mala xianghua." The junior seemed to be pardoned and happily said, "Okay, I know which mala xianghua is the best. It's good that you're not angry, Senior." Watching the naive two pass by, Mo Xian and Luo Shiya couldn't help but smile. Although it had only been 2 years, they had experienced that kind of time. However, when passing by the two, Mo Xian and Luo Shiya clearly saw that the senior was using the shopping app on her phone to search for JK skirts that boys can wear. Mo Xian and Luo Shiya looked at each other and couldn't help but laugh. Maybe everyone's youth, the way they get along is different, right? Mo Xian said helplessly. Are the ideas of young people nowadays a little too unique? Luo Shiya held his hand, looking at him gently. The dream she lost when she was young, she now holds firmly in her grasp. "Can I ask how you did it?" Outside the delivery room, Luo Tian helplessly looked at Mo Xian. Their due dates were the same again, and the doctor's eyes were complicated and strange when he looked at them, because according to the medical records, they had given birth on the same day last time. "What do you think?" Mo Xian said, anxiously glancing towards the delivery room, while smiling wryly. "Cousin, I'd rather not tell you about this." Luo Tian's mouth twitched. "Good lord, you three. You really know how to play. It hasn't been easy for you. Luo Tian patted Mo Xian on the shoulder. Now, that Weier and Shuer are so big, and those two girls are still so attached to you, and my two cousins are still like that, brother-in-law. TSK, it feels like wishing you a long life is not sincere enough. Such great merit can't be repaid with just a long life. The smile on Mo Xian's face was even more bitter. Recently, Weier and Shuer had often looked at him with tearful eyes. Once, in the middle of the night, Luo Weier suddenly ran in, sobbing softly, and said, "Daddy, if we have a little brother or little sister, will you not like Shuer and me anymore?" Children easily get anxious about this kind of thing, and Mo Xian could understand. He could only tell them again and again that even if they had a little brother or a little sister, Daddy would always love them. "How is it?" Lu Yi rushed over, and Luo Tian quickly got up to reassure her. "She's already inside. The doctor said the fetal signs are stable, and everything will be fine. Second uncle and second aunt have also arrived and are trying to contact other doctors," Lu Yi said, while comforting Mo Xian, who seemed to hear nothing at the moment, just staring blankly at the delivery room. Mo Xian didn't remember how long it had been, nor did he seem to hear the voices of other people around him, until the light in the delivery room went out. Mo Xian suddenly stood up and quickly ran to the door. "Don't worry, both mothers and babies are safe." The doctor came out, saw Mo Xian, smiled, and said to him, "They are two daughters. Did you poke a daughter's nest?" Luo Tian just finished complaining, and Lu Yi kicked him hard, gritting her teeth in the Sichuanese dialect. "Shut your trap." Luo Tian rubbed his kicked calf while muttering to the side, "It's the truth." Angered, Lu Yi grabbed his ear, and Luo Tian struggled while saying repeatedly, I was wrong, wife." Luo Xia and Luo Muki came out, their faces pale. Seeing Mo Xian's red eyes, Luo Xia forced a smile. "It's okay, why are you crying?" "That's right, brother, you're such a grown-up." Luo Muki reached out her hand, and Mo Xian quickly took hold of her and Luo Xia. "Okay, remember to go see the daughters later, and you have to give them names." The doctors and nurses on the side looked at the magical scene in front of them in shock, while Luo Tian quickly returned his usual self and walked up to them, saying softly, "You know what to say and what not to say, right?" "Yes, President Luo, rest assured." No one was stupid. The Luo family had invested a lot in this hospital. Even if they guessed that the relationship between the three people in front of them was not right, who would dare to say anything? Both children were healthy and fair-skinned. Luo Xia and Luo Muki were admitted to the best postpartum center, and Mo Xian rushed there early every morning and didn't go back until the evening. It wasn't until Luo Xia and Luo Muki recovered and took their two little daughters back to the manor that Luo Weier and Luo Shuer saw their younger sister for the first time. This time, Luo Xia gave birth to the third daughter first, named Luo Jing'e, while Luo Muki gave birth to the younger daughter named Luo Ling. Watching the two little bundles of joy sleeping soundly in their father's arms, Luo Weier and Luo Shuer felt inexplicably angry. But they were their own sisters, so no matter how unbalanced they felt, there was nothing they could do. They could only sit aside, pouting like two little pufferfish. "What's wrong, Weier Shuer?" Mo Xian saw the two older girls sulking on the side and couldn't help but find it a little funny. "Aren't you going to see your sisters?" Luo Xia and Luo Muki on the side looked at their daughters with a sense of schadenfreude. Usually, they relied on being his daughters and having a death-defying immunity, and sometimes they deliberately provoked them. When they wanted to teach them a lesson, they ran behind their father and pretended to be pitiful, and Mo Xian always protected them, making it impossible for them to lose their temper. Now, even smaller ones had come. Weren't they dumbfounded? But Luo Xia and Luo Muki had learned their lesson this time and must not repeat the mistakes of the past with these two rebellious daughters. Jinger and Linger had to be taught well. As for what taught well meant, it probably meant not fighting with them for their husband. That would be a good child. Luo Weier and Luo Shuer walked over reluctantly and looked at the two younger sisters in their swaddling clothes. Mo Xian couldn't help but sigh. When Daddy sees them, it feels like seeing you at this time. Back then, you and Weier were also this big, exactly like your sisters. Back then, I remember you were also like this, letting Daddy hold you in his arms. Mo Xian looked at the two of them gently. At that time, it was also like this, small and obedient, lying in Daddy's arms sleeping. Speaking of this, Luo Xia and Luo Muki couldn't help but twitch. Back then, when these two older ones were a few months old, things started to go a little wrong. They wouldn't let anyone else coax them to sleep at night, and their cries could lift the roof off the house. But as soon as Mo Xian held them, they would immediately quiet down. Sister, do you think some personality traits can be inherited? Luo Miyuki said softly to Luo Xia. Back then, I remember Wei and Shuer only recognized their brother when they couldn't even speak. Probably not. Of course, they were clearly not the ones who felt the deepest about whether or not it could be inherited, because the one who felt the deepest was Mo Xian. It was okay at first. Uncle Zheng hired experienced nannies to take care of them, but then it started to get a little out of control. Mo Xian had to face Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki, who had occasional pathological episodes, as well as Luo Wei and Luo Shuer, who were still as clingy as when they were little, and even more so after having younger sisters. Then, unsurprisingly, Luo Jing'er and Luo Ling'er slowly began to learn the routines of their older sisters, and even went further. They would cry if they didn't see Mo Xian, and they would immediately smile when they saw Mo Xian. They would listen if Mo Xian coaxed them to sleep, but anyone else would be met with tears. When Luo Tian and Lu Yi came to visit with tonics and gifts, they almost thought they had gone to the wrong place. Mo Xian was carrying 2 little daughters in baby carriers on his chest and back, while also having to coax the 2 older daughters and occasionally soothe the 2 older ones. Seriously, what are you 2 joining in on? Luo Tian couldn't stand it anymore and complained to his 2 cousins. Instead of helping to take care of the children, you're jealous of them. You too. Before Luo Tian could finish speaking, he immediately shut his mouth. Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki just glanced at him, and at that moment, Luo Tian finally remembered the fear of being dominated by these 2 crazy cousins in the past. Looks like they haven't fully recovered yet. While Mo Xian was coaxing the 2 little ones to sleep, and Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki took them over and carried them upstairs, Luo Tian whispered to Lu Yi. They clearly got what they wanted, so why do I feel like they're still the same as before? Hearing Luo Tian's words, Lu Yi could only smile wryly and shake her head. Their problems were actually not that important anymore. Just look at this family of 7. Who knows what will happen in the future? And look at Mo Xian running around. Lu Yi looked at Luo Tian and said, I suddenly understand why you want your cousin-in-law to live a long life so much. If something bad happened to him, Mo Xian, with the women in his family in this state. Ah, the capable work harder, and the wise worry more. Cousin-in-law, I'm leaving it all to you. Lu Yi thought extremely irresponsibly, because they really couldn't help at all. Alice never expected to see that tall, handsome Hua countryman in her own country. And what was more, he was with 4 children. It wasn't even the first time Alice had run into Mo Xian. She'd bumped into him more than once abroad, either with 2 adorable daughters, or with 2 very similar-looking and beautiful women. Unlike others, Alice always felt they had their own story. Although curious about their relationship, she figured it was their business and none of her concern. Besides, if she looked too long, those 2 beautiful women would give her extremely dangerous looks. If she had to describe how it made her feel, it was like being a rabbit targeted by a wolf, an almost instinctive sense of danger. This time, she was preparing to settle down in Hua country with her boyfriend, interviewing for a job at Luo's corporation. Inadvertently, she saw Mo Xian like a kangaroo mother carrying 2 babies and holding the hands of 2 little girls, also at Luo's. What surprised her even more was that he entered and exited Luo's as if it were his own home. Every employee treated him with utmost respect. How could they not be respectful? A new intern who didn't know any better tried to stop him once, and the president's office personally fired him. Hearing Alice's question, her boyfriend couldn't help but say with lingering fear, rumor has it that the president values him immensely. We lower-level employees only know that his identity is special. The Luo's management might know more, but they keep their mouths shut and don't allow any gossip about him. So don't ask. Then, is he here to see President Luo? No, he should be here to see the president's sister. Alice's boyfriend thought for a moment. I'm not sure about the 2 baby girls, but I know the 2 older ones are the children of the former vice president, the Luo family's 2 daughters. Nobody ever knew who their father was. People say all 4 children are this man's, but that's too far-fetched. No one wants to believe it. Alice was inclined to believe it, because she had seen those 2 very beautiful women, but at the time she didn't know they were actually the future president of her company's sister, the former vice president. Sometimes the world is really small, Alice always thought. In fact, for Mo Xian and them, it was the same. Because the world is small, they met, knew each other, and in the end, even if they drifted apart, they would reunite. After Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki finished their confinement, Luo Tian begged them to come back to the company to help for a while, and the sisters agreed. I can't help it. There are several projects that need to be followed up on, and I don't trust the people below. Just help me get through this period, and everything will be fine once the projects are stable. Luo Tian had no choice. Luo's domestic business was stable, but there were many problems with the overseas market. Unfortunately, his two younger sisters and their husband had directly retired abroad. If it weren't for the special circumstances, he really wouldn't want to trouble Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki, who had just finished their confinement. Originally, Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki wanted to go back after their confinement, but after thinking about it, they agreed. As for Mo Xian's life now, it was actually quite comfortable. Every day, he would take Luo Wire and Luo Schwerer to kindergarten, and then come home to take care of Luo Jing'er and Luo Ling. As for bringing the whole family, it was because Luo Xia suddenly called and said she had an emergency, but the two older daughters insisted on coming along, and the two younger daughters were crying and making a fuss. In the end, Mo Xian had no choice. After arming himself fully, he took the 4 children to the company. So, your emergency is to do this, right? Mo Xian was completely speechless, being hugged by Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki one after the other, completely unable to break free. As for the 4 children, they had already been taken out to be taken care of by people arranged by Sister Hui. Aren't you too bored? Mo Xian couldn't help but say this time. Can't you go home? Can't you say this when you get home? I'm not going to run away. Work is too tiring. I haven't seen you for several hours. That's right, brother. At least we are now considered to be earning money to support the family. Can't you satisfy this little request of ours? Mo Xian. Makes sense. He was actually speechless. In fact, it wasn't that Mo Xian didn't have ambition. He had mentioned more than once about starting his own business or staying in the country to work at Rongxing. Not to say whether he could be worthy of their sister's wealth. At least he wouldn't be too embarrassed. But this was obviously impossible. These 2 sisters were too rich and didn't need Mo Xian to go out to work and start a business at all. And more importantly, Mo Xian had done this before. Before he went abroad, Mo Xian wanted to use the money he exchanged shares from Mo Qingqing to make some investments. As a result, without exception, everything died in the womb because he couldn't bypass the Luo family at all. Before, Mo Xian didn't know why, but later he learned that Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki had been trying to stop him. Although he still retained his job at Rongxing, Mo Xian now felt that there was nothing wrong with being called a kept man by a rich woman. In fact, Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki had never said this before. They didn't care at all whether Mo Xian could make money or how much money he could make. They could earn it. The reason for saying this was not to accuse Mo Xian of anything, but to take the opportunity to stick to him more. Mo Xian also knew their real thoughts and had become accustomed to their intermittent sickness for so long, so he had only become accustomed to it. After being hugged like a large teddy bear by the sisters for a long time, Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki let go. Luo Miyuki happily said, "Charging complete, I can work again." Mo Xian. So what am I? A power bank. Mo Xian reached out and rubbed Luo Miyuki's head. Forget it. Can I trouble Sister Hui to help take care of Jing'er and Linga? I'll take Wire and Schwerer out to buy you something to eat. In fact, he didn't need to bring them, but I'm sorry, mister. Mo. Sister Hui said helplessly. It's just that the 2 young ladies are both, well, too difficult to coax. It's okay. I guess it would be the result. Mo Xian didn't care, feeling the coldness coming from behind. Mo Xian could only smile wryly and look back. I'll just take them for a walk. I'll be back in a while. So can you 2 be normal? Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki slowly became more normal. Luo Xia said innocently, "How could Xiao Xian think like this? I know it's hard for you to take care of the children. How could I be angry? Xia, we've been together for so long, there's really no need to hide some things from me." Mo Xian was too lazy to complain about them. Not to mention other women, they were jealous of their own children. In the past, he always thought he was entangled by some dirty things and the temperature around him would drop inexplicably. There were no dirty things, but there were yanderas, and there were 2 of them. But Mo Xian had already figured it out, as long as he followed them. In fact, Mo Xian also thought about resisting, and always felt that they were sometimes making a fuss, until one day he saw some documents saved in Luo Xia's tablet. The impact of hypnotic depth on the brain, hypnotic drugs, and human tolerance, detailed interpretation and annotation of psychological suggestion. Well, after so long, these 3 axes have not only not been put down, but they also plan to strengthen them. It's just insecurity. One must be like this. Mo Xian comforted himself while taking his daughters out of the Luo's building. Because of a sudden meeting, Livia Lo and Monica Lo both had to attend. Luckily, the meeting wasn't too long, but when they came out, Mo Xian still hadn't returned. Just as she was about to look for her tablet, Huijia walked into the office and told them, "Mr. Mo took the two little misses to a snack street." Huijia was afraid they wouldn't believe her, so she took out her phone to show them the photos. As for where the photos came from, she had sent someone to follow Mo Xian and take them. The reason was obvious. In the photos, Livia and Scarlett were happily eating lamb skewers, with milk tea and various fried skewers and pastries on the small wooden table in front of them. Those two little brats. Monica almost laughed with exasperation. I knew as soon as they went out, they'd pester their brother to buy them food. I told you he shouldn't carry money, right? Livia said, displeased. Thinking he's taking care of the kids every day and picking them up, I transferred money to his card. Huijia almost couldn't help but laugh when she heard Livia's words. Miss, what you're saying is just too much. Mr. Mo is a perfectly capable man who originally had so much savings, and you took it all away. And usually when he goes out, not to mention no money in his pocket, he can't even transfer a dime from his phone. Usually, if he wants to buy something, you either pay for it yourselves or give him just the right amount. Of course, you really do care about him. Although you don't give him money, the two of you have never been stingy when it comes to spending money on Mo Xian. You're even afraid you're not giving him enough. You're just afraid he'll save money and run away, even though he wouldn't. But the problem is, you two should at least leave him some money, even just enough pocket money for emergencies. Huijia couldn't stand it before, but she knew their tempers too well and could only hint at them indirectly. As a result, Monica, being so clever, simply pretended not to understand. Livia, on the other hand, looked completely unconcerned. He just needs to stay with us. We won't let him be without money in this lifetime. Huijia suddenly felt that communicating this issue with them was a mistake. As for Mo Xian, he originally just wanted to take his two daughters out for a walk and buy some takeout for his two wives. He didn't drive. However, staff from Snack Street were handing out flyers nearby, and Livia and Scarlett insisted on dragging Mo Xian to go. Daddy, let's go play here. Livia pointed to the flyer she had received. It looks like there's a lot of good food to eat. Scarlett didn't speak, but her bright, pleading eyes looked at Mo Xian. You two little gluttons. Mo Xian pinched their little faces. Then Daddy will go get the car and take you there, okay? Letting his two daughters be happy there would be good. Recently, he had been constantly managing the two little ones. The older daughters hadn't said anything, but he could still feel that they were unhappy. It might also be a good idea to pack some food for those two unreliable mothers. Taking his two daughters to the snack street. To be honest, this family of three was a bit too eye-catching. A young and handsome dad with two cute and beautiful daughters. Many people couldn't help but take a second look. However, Livia and Scarlett's expressions were a little unfriendly. These two little jealous spots remembered their mother's words at this time, to guard against bad women trying to steal their dad. So when a few girls wanted to come up and chat, they gave up after seeing the two little girls' cold, gloomy faces. No matter how good-looking a man is, he has a family, and the daughters look very difficult to deal with. But how long could children hold out? There is so much food here with all sorts of aromas wafting around, and all kinds of quirky snacks. Daddy, I want to eat that. Scarlett pointed to a stall selling fried skewers. Sister, let's eat that, okay? Mo Xian saw that Livia also looked very interested, so he bought a lot of fried skewers to go, buying a portion of whatever the two children were interested in along the way, and the sisters shared it. Why are you only getting one portion each? Mo Xian handed them a few freshly bought grilled squids. Livia looked up, her mouth a little greasy from eating the grilled squid. If Scarlett and I share one portion, we'll have room in our stomachs to eat other things. Well, it has to be said, these two kids are pretty smart at this time. Mo Xian also admired these two girls. They had eaten so much, and they still wanted to drink milk tea. Finally, when they saw a place specializing in lamb skewers, they clamored to eat them. Daddy isn't afraid of you eating, but you've eaten too much, haven't you? Mo Xian shook his head with a wry smile. I've been feeling that you two have had good appetites recently. That's right, it's the time for you to grow. Because we're tired, we have to practice martial arts with Daddy. Before Livia could finish speaking, Mo Xian quickly covered her mouth, shaking his head vigorously. Just kidding, his phone has listening and location tracking. If Livia and Monica find out that he's been secretly teaching them martial arts at home while they're at work, that would be terrible. These two girls have been pestering Mo Xian to teach them martial arts from the beginning, but Livia and Monica disagreed, no matter what. After all, they were their daughters, and their personalities were too much like their own. If they taught them martial arts, they were afraid these two girls would cause trouble. However, Mo Xian always felt that there was nothing wrong with girls learning martial arts, and they could also protect themselves. Plus, they always wanted to learn, so Mo Xian taught them. However, he only taught them the basics, some basic self-defense skills that didn't require too much space to use. Mo Xian put his phone in his coat pocket, covered it with his hand, and said in a low voice, "You can only mention it when Daddy mentions it, understand?" "Mention what?" Monica's voice suddenly rang out behind the three of them, scaring Mo Xian so much that he almost fell off the wooden stool. When he turned around, Livia and Monica were looking at the three of them with smiles, followed by several female bodyguards behind them. "Look at you three." Livia sighed helplessly, took a tissue from Huijia, and walked over to wipe the children's mouths. "Sorry, I was going to tell you, but I thought it was just taking the kids out. It wasn't a big deal." Mo Xian really only thought it was a small matter. He always took his two daughters out to play when he was abroad, and they weren't this nervous. Of course, he probably forgot that the little money he had in his hands at the time was probably only enough to buy the children some snacks. Now it's different. Livia had transferred a lot of money to his card. These two sisters didn't pay attention for a while, and because they hadn't worked for too long, their attention was focused on work. As soon as they saw that Mo Xian hadn't returned, their old habits came back. "Okay, let's go back, okay?" Livia pinched Livia and Scarlett's cute little noses. "You're not allowed to secretly go out and eat good things with Daddy alone in the future. Can't Mommy and Auntie eat together too?" After all, they were their own daughters, and in front of Mo Xian, it wouldn't be good to say that you should let Mommy take care of this kind of thing in the future. "Didn't I bring some for you too?" Mo Xian pointed to the large bag he was carrying. "I passed by a few stores and saw that there were some you might like, so I packed them for you." With one sentence, the two sisters, who were originally still resentful, immediately turned their mood from cloudy to sunny. After all, as long as it's Mo Xian, they are still very easy to coax. After a busy day, Mo Xian only felt a little sleepy after taking a shower. He quickly checked and confirmed that there were no aromatherapy diffusers in his room, that he had eaten out today, and that there were no problems with the water he drank. "It seems I'm really sleepy today, but I should be getting good rest recently, right?" Mo Xian didn't think too much about it. Livia and Monica still had a video conference to attend, so they probably wouldn't be free. He went to sleep first. However, this time his consciousness drifted to a very unfamiliar place, an old house that was both familiar and strange to him. Freud believed that dreams are a form of expression from the depths of the human heart, and also a product of the subconscious. As for Mo Xian, the deepest secret hidden in his subconscious was the memory he had forgotten. Luo Xia once took him for a very detailed examination. The doctor said that his memory nerves were actually slowly recovering, but recovery was one thing, and when the memory would recover was another. In the past, whenever he remembered something, it was as if he was covered by a mist, and he couldn't see or hear anything. But now this feeling is very strange to Mo Xian. He is like a person who suddenly attaches himself to someone else, able to see and hear, but unable to do anything, only following the slowly emerging memories, like a puppet in a puppet show, being manipulated forward. "Brother." Behind him came a sweet, excited, yet childish voice. Looking back, a little girl was running over excitedly, grabbing his hand, and not far away, a beautiful girl was looking at him with a smile. He, or rather, the 13-year-old him, and in front of him were Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki, who had been forgotten by him, or rather, that memory belonging to the three of them. Mo Xian just watched his past self, together with Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki. All the past gradually revived with the memories, and was also displayed before his eyes little by little. At that time, there were still Luo Weiwei and Luo Xiaoxue. In fact, they didn't seem to have deceived him much. What they were like in front of him in the past was still what they were like after the reunion. Luo Xia, who was still Luo Weiwei at that time, was actually very awkward, initially stubborn, but now standing from Mo Xian's perspective, he could see that when she looked at him, there was a different kind of light in her eyes. "Xiao Xian, this question should be written like this. Xiao Xian, remember to send me a message when you go back later, okay? Actually, chatting with you every day is like we never run out of things to say." Luo Miyuki, who was still Luo Xiaoxue at that time, was not as lively and devilish as she is now. When she saw him, she was like an innocent child, shy, but hoping to get closer to him. "Brother, want to eat this? Brother, can you come earlier tomorrow? Brother, I'll secretly message you tonight. Shall we chat?" He now remembered that he not only had to chat with them in the group of three, but also had to constantly reply to them in their private chats. Mo Xian wanted to laugh. How could he forget that they had already shown their possessiveness at that time? Luo Xia checked his phone every day like clockwork under the guise of letting him study with peace of mind. Luo Miyuki, while doing her homework, pretended to be casual, trying to get him to reveal if he had any contact with other girls. Even the two sisters, who he had previously thought were just joking, were actually constantly bickering. In fact, the current MO, Shin, quickly understood why they did this. It was an indescribable, the most youthful yet purest emotion that was slowly taking root, sprouting, and finally blooming. Of course, it was possible that something went wrong when their flower was growing, so the emotion became too obsessive. Although I am the main reason, it seems that the two of them were already like this before, and I was already going along with them at that time. Although he couldn't see his expression at that time, he could probably guess it. It was probably the same as now, except for a helpless, bitter smile. It was sighing, and then continuing to go along with them, right? Although Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki were a bit excessive at that time, they had not yet been tormented by the pain after his amnesia, and at that time he only had his grandmother by his side, and they were only being taken care of by Uncle Zheng and his people. At that time, for him and them, it was actually no different from now, or rather, from that time on, they were each other's most cherished people. I actually forgot so many things. He remembered the first meeting under the big tree, remembered Luo Xia waiting for him on the balcony every day, remembered Luo Miyuki smiling every time she saw him. Remembered the summer nights when the three of them sat in the yard board counting stars. Remembered the winter when he was chased around the yard by the two sisters with snowballs. Remembered sitting side by side with Luo Xia, with one earphone each, constantly looping Red Rose and White Rose, riding furiously together, occasionally stopping and looking at each other tacitly, smiling at each other. Remembered bringing candied haws from outside to Luo Miyuki, the two of them sitting in the yard, while Mo Shin told her what happened today, and Luo Miyuki ate the candied haws. He even remembered their birthdays, Luo Miyuki suddenly kissing him on the cheek after making a wish. Of course, Luo Xia did the same on her birthday. Even more remembered that day in the sky, full of fireworks, Luo Xia's bold yet shy kiss. In fact, he never told Luo Xia that Luo Miyuki later tricked him into closing his eyes while they were studying together, and then kissed him as well. He also remembered his injury that time. The feeling was too real, and Mo Shin even seemed to feel the pain coming from his head and body. And what was he thinking at that time? Maybe as long as they were okay, he would die. There was never unrequited deep affection, only people worth paying for. Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki were worth him sacrificing himself for, whether it was the him at that time or the him now. He never felt that he had done anything wrong. In a daze, he seemed to see Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki running towards him, but they were stopped by someone. "Let go of me, get out of here." Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki kicked and beat the bodyguards like crazy, but they were forcibly taken away in the end. And his world fell into darkness again, unable to see or hear anything. Everything stopped abruptly, like a movie suddenly ending. Mo Xian felt that his consciousness was like a raft drifting with the waves, and he had no way to control it, drifting forward little by little. The professor who hypnotized him once told him a sentence: "Even if you forget something, your brain will still record it. It's just that it may be because of some reason, or like him, head trauma, so it's forgotten." Of course, there's also a possibility that when a person suffers a huge blow, their spirit cannot bear it, which will cause the brain's self-protection mechanism to be triggered, forcibly forgetting this memory. Sometimes, even if you see it, the brain will forcibly shield it, letting your vision and hearing selectively deceive yourself. There is also one kind, being interfered with by others, such as those of us who have studied psychology and hypnosis and understand psychological cues. Generally, when a patient receives psychological treatment, they need to enter deep sleep. We can choose to use cues to make them selectively forget some questions about hypnosis. For some reason, Mo Xian suddenly recalled the professor's words, and in the darkness, his body seemed to fall on a soft bed, and he still couldn't do anything, only felt that he vaguely saw two people in front of him. Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki's whispers suddenly came to his ears. Mo Xian smiled dumbly. He already knew this last time, right? There was no need to remind him again, right? "Sister, is this okay?" Luo Miyuki asked with some doubt. "Are you sure this will work?" "Actually, I think with brother's personality, we just need to tell him about the past, right? It's not certain yet. I took him for examinations and treatments, but I've been keeping it from him." Luo Xia seemed to sigh. "I don't want to lose him again. This is the best way I can think of. Otherwise, I can only imprison him. But I don't want to hurt him." Mo Xian really wanted to say to her, "Actually, you don't need to do this," but thinking about it, he couldn't say anything, even if he said it. This wasn't time reversal, just his memory. Just when he thought he might just continue replaying his memories like this, he suddenly heard sobbing. Was it Luo Xia or Luo Miyuki? Or was it the two of them? Didn't you say you wouldn't leave us again? Brother is a liar, leaving us in the past, and leaving us again now. Soft sobs and complaints and sweet words constantly echoing in his ears. Mo Xian suddenly felt that his consciousness was free from the shackles. He seemed to be able to move. It's been 14 hours. Why is there still no reaction at all? Luo Miyuki's eyes were red. With a crying voice, she turned her head and yelled angrily at several doctors. What's the use of spending so much money to hire you? A bunch of useless people. If brother has any problems, you've eaten so much from the Luo family. I'll make you spit out all your lives. Luo Xia didn't speak, just cried while holding Mo Xian's hand, tears dripping onto the back of Mo Xian's hand. She hurriedly wiped it clean for him. Last night, after Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki finished their meeting, they originally wanted to see Mo Xian. Seeing that he was asleep, the two sisters deliberately played tricks, deliberately wanting to wake Mo Xian up, but no matter what they did, Mo Xian didn't react at all. If it wasn't for the rise and fall of his chest and the even and steady breathing, it would even make people think he was dead. Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki immediately realized something was wrong, and quickly asked Uncle Zheng to bring people along and called an ambulance to rush Mo Xian to the best hospital in Kyoto. Vice President Luo, we have done a detailed examination. There's really nothing wrong. The leading doctor said tremblingly. Mr. Mo's body is very normal, but it seems that he is unwilling to wake up. He's awake. Mo Xian's sudden voice startled everyone. After a brief moment of surprise, Luo Xia pounced on him, crying and hitting his chest hard. Luo Miyuki didn't care if there was anyone else. Her whole body left the ground, and she pounced on the bed, crying loudly in Mo Xian's arms. Okay. Thank you everyone for your hard work. Uncle Zheng clapped his hands while smiling and made a gesture of seeing them off. Just now our eldest and second young ladies were also concerned and confused, and their attitude was not very good. I'm really sorry. After driving the doctors out of the door, Uncle Zheng immediately changed to an indifferent expression, lowered his voice, and said, Everyone is also a leader in the industry. Some things pretend you didn't see, appropriately pretend to be deaf and mute. I don't need to say it, right? The doctors nodded quickly, joking. If their brains were bad, would they dare to talk about the Luo family's gossip? What is the relationship between the three people inside? They don't want to know. Uncle Zheng sent the doctors away, and then very sensibly closed the door of the ward. Mo Xian hugged Luo Xia and Luo Miyuki tightly with both hands, laughing and crying uncontrollably. I'm sorry, I made you wait for me for so long. I remembered everything. Thank you for being willing to wait for me, still willing to run towards me after so long. Although it's been so long, but Sister Wei Wei, Xiao Xue, I'm back. A year later, an international exchange art exhibition held in China, Luo Miyuki, who had been missing for a long time, suddenly publicly released her latest artwork. With the title of Genius Girl on her head, Luo Miyuki suddenly announced through Luo's media at her peak that she would no longer publish any works. So this time, Luo's staff, with the latest painting by Luo Miyuki, naturally attracted the attention of many people. Strange, how do I feel that Luo Miyuki's painting style has changed a lot? You can see that it is her own work, but this time it just feels like something is different. In Luo Miyuki's publicly released paintings a few years ago, the originally withered big tree not only regained its vitality, but became even more lush. The boy's face was full of bright smiles, pulling the girl and the little girl to run forward together, and four cute children like little elves surrounded the three of them. In the past paintings, even if they were warm, they also made people aware of some kind of longing and emotional sustenance. And in those two dark paintings, one was full of despair, and the other, a painting of three people, gave a feeling of suffocation and morbidity. But this painting seems to represent some kind of new life. Luo Miyuki herself did not come, and many people asked about her whereabouts, but Luo's staff were tight-lipped. Don't say they don't know. Even if they know, they won't tell others. And at the same time, the seaside villa on the other side of the ocean that had been empty for a long time suddenly became lively. Wayer, Schwerer, get up. It's time to go to school. Xia. Miyuki. Hey, can you get off me? I still want to see Jing'er and Ling. No. I still have to make breakfast. You 6 mothers and daughters don't help. Don't make trouble. I can't run away. I really won't run. Please let me go.